Temperatures rebound into the 80s tomorrow with only isolated storm chances, and then we're looking for some severe weather possibilities Thursday into Friday.
It's at noon, and have a great rest of your day. And thanks so much for joining us here for Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. I'm Tyler Fingert. I'll be joining you for the next hour right here on Fox Local. Let's get a check of the stories that Fox 5 is working on this busy Tuesday afternoon. Our assignment manager, Tanya Mendoza, is standing by with a look at those stories. Hey, Tanya.
Hey, Tyler, that's right. We're busy this afternoon. We've been busy all night. Overnight, there was a horrible story that came out of DeKalb County involving a 23-year-old pregnant woman by the name of Shakia Pridgen. She is also a mother of two, and according to her mother, Shakia was set to give birth to her third child in just 2 weeks. Now, let me read to you what DeKalb County Police Department sent over to us. They said that around 5:15 this morning, DeKalb police responded to a report of a person shot in the 3300 block of Pepper Tree Circle. Officers located a pregnant woman who had been shot multiple times. She was rushed to a hospital, but sadly, she and her unborn child died of their injuries. Preliminary investigation suggests someone shot into the residence from outside. Nobody else was injured. The investigation is active and ongoing, and anybody with information should contact the DeKalb County Police Department. That's straight from their press release, Tyler. We have our reporter, Annie Mapp, out on the scene. She's talked to the family. She talked to the mother, and what they are describing just sounds horrific. Hopefully, police get more information on this and make an arrest soon. Tyler?
Yeah, certainly a tragedy there. A pregnant mother killed, and just absolutely a terrible situation there. And also in DeKalb County, another case of gun violence in Lithonia. What can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, so in Lithonia, on the 2000 block of Mallard Crest, Monday evening, there were reports of multiple people shot. Police did send over an update this morning. We had several photographers out there overnight trying to figure out what was going on, and now we have an update to report to you. So basically, 5 people were shot during what is said to have been some sort of party. DeKalb police say they responded to a shooting there. Officers determined 5 people were shot at a residence and transported to local hospitals where they are all receiving treatment for their non-fatal injuries. Preliminary investigations suggest there was a fight that preceded the shooting. At this time, no suspects have been arrested, and the investigation is ongoing. Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, that one's also a tragic situation. 5 people shot during a party in Lithonia. I mean, we don't like hearing about this, but this is unfortunately the reality that we live in sometimes with the gun violence that we unfortunately have in the metro Atlanta area. Let's switch it up a little bit. Right now, Election Day, the runoff election is going to be a big story, and we have crews scattered across the entire metro area.
That's right. So we do have crews scattered to the entire metro area. It is a runoff election, and if Republican candidates in the governor's race, we have Deidre Jukes over at Burt Jones's campaign, and Denise Dillon is at Rick Jackson's campaign. So that's what they're doing. We are also covering the Senate race, and we're covering the Republican candidates in the Senate race. So let me just read to you here. We have Mike Collins, covered by Rob DeRienzo, and Tara Jabour's over at the Derek Dooley campaign. For Lieutenant Governor, I want to mention we do have in the for the Republican candidates, we have Ray Yadina covering basically both candidates. But what I will say is that John F. Kennedy is having an election night party. Dolezal is not, so Ray will update any statements from the Dolezal campaign and be live over at the John F. Kennedy campaign. On the Democratic side, Josh McLaurin is having an election night party where we'll be live with Larry Spruill, and Angelique Proctor is going to possibly get some sort of update from Nabila Parks' campaign manager, but she has decided to watch the results with her family privately. So that's an update on where people will be. We are going to move Kevin Stewart over to the Fulton County Commissioner's chair race. So that's where our reporters are on the election. It's a big deal. I think we said yesterday over 400,000 people have either early voted or voted absentee ballot. Tyler?
Yeah, a lot of participation in this, a lot of interest in this, knowing that there are two candidates that for pretty much each of these races that are certainly going to go with the nomination. So people want to make sure they have their say on who will be representing the GOP going forward for the November election. Tanya, thank you so much for the update there. And let's dive deeper into the runoff election today. And so Georgia voters are heading to the polls to decide a series of closely watched primary races that could shape the state's political landscape ahead of the general election, as I was mentioning, as you heard from Tanya as well. Among the most high-profile contests is the Republican runoff for U.S. Senate, where the winner will advance to challenge incumbent Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff in the general election. The Republican Senate runoff has highlighted a rare split between two of Georgia's most influential Republicans. U.S. Representative Mike Collins has secured the endorsement of President Donald Trump, while former college football coach Derek Dooley is backed by Brian Kemp, Governor Kemp. And Kemp has argued that political outsiders have historically performed well against Democratic incumbents, while President Trump has thrown his support behind Collins as Republicans seek to reclaim the Senate seat in November. Let's take a listen to both of the candidates.
Honored to have everybody's endorsement, but the most important endorsement I've been working toward every single day is that of the people of Georgia, because that's what matters most.
It just shows that he has confidence that we know how to win this race. We know we're in the lead in this thing, and he knows that I will represent the state of Georgia and the values that the people of the state of Georgia have.
And the governor's race also is on the ballot. Voters are deciding the Republican nominee in Georgia's gubernatorial runoff. Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones is facing businessman Rick Jackson in a closely watched contest for the party's nomination. Jones has earned endorsements from both Governor Kemp and President Donald Trump. Kemp has described Jones as the conservative candidate best positioned to keep the governor's office in Republican hands. Jackson, a self-funded businessman, has campaigned on building upon the policies and initiatives implemented during Kemp's administration. I want you now to take a listen to both of these candidates.
We think that this is exactly what's going to put us over the top.
I'm running for governor to make an impact for all 11 million Georgians.
And the winner of this race will face former Atlanta Mayor and Democrat Keisha Lance Bottoms in November. Voters will also decide nominees in several other runoff elections, including races for Lieutenant Governor, Secretary of State, Labor Commissioner, Insurance Commissioner, State Superintendent, and Public Service Commission. Of course, we have the details on all of the races on our website, fox5atlanta.com, and of course, our free Fox Local app. So make sure you check it all out if you are planning to head to the polls over the next 6 hours before they close tonight. And election officials and candidates are urging voters to participate, as turnout is expected to be relatively low, but we obviously know about 400 or so thousand people have already voted. Political observers note that the runoff elections often attract fewer votes than general primaries, increasing the impact of those who do cast ballots. With several competitive races on the ballot, candidates across the state spent the final days of the campaign focused on turnout efforts aimed at energizing supporters and securing enough votes to advance to the general election. Officials say nearly 483,000 early and absentee ballots have already been cast ahead of Election Day, and we spoke to one voter today, and I want you now to take a listen to what she had to say.
I think when it comes to the kinds of decisions that affect our day-to-day lives, you know, around our kids and what access we have to different resources and stuff, a lot of those are decided at the local level rather than the federal level that really impact us daily. And I think it's important for folks to have a say in that and come out and express their opinion.
And so polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So you have just about a little under 6 hours until the polls close. And Georgia law allows anyone who's in line by 7 p.m. to cast a ballot, even if voting continues after polls officially close. Voters can verify their polling location, registration status, and sample ballot through Georgia's My Voter page or by contacting their county elections office. Of course, they are obviously urging people to vote. It's your civic duty. So if you want those details, we also have the information on our website, fox5atlanta.com. We're approaching 1:10 on this Tuesday afternoon, and let's talk about one of the headlines that we were following all morning long on Good Day Atlanta. A multi-vehicle crash involving a semi-truck shut down all southbound lanes of I-285 in DeKalb County early this morning. The lanes were closed as emergency crews responded to the scene. You're looking at pictures right now that our photographer was able to gather earlier. You can see smoke rising from that semi-truck, which ended up catching fire after this incident. Motorists were told to avoid the area, and they expected significant delays. You can see the traffic just backed up in that area as our photographer was getting some video. The crash has since cleared, and no information about injuries has been released. The cause is obviously under investigation as they're trying to determine what exactly happened. Tell you what, let's take a live look outside now, looking at Atlanta. You just see all the gray there, and what a difference 24 hours makes, because yesterday during that first FIFA World Cup match here in the city of Atlanta, we had a beautiful afternoon out there and pretty much an entire day. It did get a little warm near the end, but if you were in the shade, it was going to be hard to complain about what we saw. And now we have another match coming up on Thursday here in the city of Atlanta at Atlanta Stadium. You're now looking live at the venue, which is quiet today. A big difference from what we were seeing just a matter of 24 hours ago, as I mentioned, those gray clouds. Let's get a check of the forecast with Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Lauren Robinson. Hey, Lauren.
We're going to continue to watch for these scattered rain showers all across the area as we move through the rest of our Tuesday. Most of the rain is looking to settle along and south of the I-20 corridor, but that doesn't mean you can't get a couple stray raindrops across northern portions of the viewing area. As we go through the rest of the afternoon, we're still going to watch for scattered rain showers. A few isolated storms are possible, but we're not looking for any sort of severe weather for our Tuesday. Maybe some localized flooding and some lightning and thunder. Things start to wind down as we move late into the night and into early tomorrow morning. So as we wake up Wednesday morning, we're going to see the return of the warmth and the humidity. We're going to see more cloud cover, but you will stay dry most of your Wednesday, not the entirety of the day, but most of your hours will be dry. But as we go through the afternoon, that's where you can see maybe a pop-up shower or storm here or there, and then things start to wind back down as we move into our Wednesday night. Now, all eyes are on Thursday because we have a big day in town. That's going to be our next FIFA World Cup match in Atlanta. So by the time you're waking up early Thursday morning, it's hot and humid. We're seeing that cloud cover lingering. By noon, that's when we're supposed to have kickoff. That's where things are still looking mostly dry. Maybe we start to see the approach of a couple isolated storms, but that's nothing compared to what we're expecting Thursday evening into Friday morning. This is when we're looking for widespread, strong storms Thursday evening into Friday morning. So of course, that's something you want to keep in mind if you do have maybe some post-match celebrations in mind. We will be seeing some heavy downpours, and some of these storms could be pretty strong to severe as we move through our Friday morning. So because of it, we're going to look for some heavier downpours. Today, we're not going to get a whole lot of accumulation, maybe up to around 1/4 of an inch. Far south, we could see maybe up to 1/2 an inch. That's where we're going to see the more steady rainfall today. Tomorrow, we add just a couple of raindrops to that bucket, but take a look at how this map really lights up as we move through our Thursday into our Friday morning. This is where we're expecting those stronger, more severe storms, and this is where we could see maybe a couple inches of rain. This is also where we're going to look for the strongest storms. Thursday and into Friday again, we are under level 1 out of 5 for severe weather. That means our entire viewing area does run the risk for maybe some damaging winds with those storms. We are looking for from maybe a brief spin-up tornado or two, and of course heavy downpours that could lead to some flooding. So in the meantime, today is going to be a bit cooler. We're about 10 degrees below average for this time of year as temperatures max out in the middle 70s. By tomorrow, we start to rise into the middle 80s. That's where we're going to get maybe a very isolated shower or storm through the afternoon. And then by Thursday and Friday, these are going to be the days where we're looking for those stronger storms. These are also going to be our more outdoorsy active days because we have FIFA World Cup match and then we have Juneteenth. Both of these days, you just want to make sure you're paying attention to the forecast. As we move into the weekend, we have more smooth weather in store. The sunshine returns. We have minimal storm chances, and those afternoon temperatures in the middle to upper 80s are closer to where we should be this time of year.
Lauren, thanks so much for the update. And we're going to step aside real quick. We'll be back in 2 minutes with more Fox 5 News Live at 1. And welcome back to Fox 5 News Live here on this Tuesday afternoon, runoff election day here in Georgia. The time now 1:17. We are following some breaking news right now out of Minnesota. Federal prosecutors have announced that they are charging 15 people who are accused of impeding federal agents during the Trump administration's massive immigration surge in Minnesota earlier this year. Again, this is breaking right now here at the top of the 1 o'clock hour. The investigation targeted two Minneapolis-based Antifa groups whose members were trained in, quote, surveillance, operational planning, and rapid mobilization against law enforcement. That is according to the Minnesota U.S. Attorney Daniel Rosen. He said that at a press conference today. The charges come as the Trump administration says escalated attacks on Antifa, an umbrella term for a diffuse movement of militant left-wing activists, which President Donald Trump has described as a domestic terror group. And so obviously breaking right now, again, you can see on your screen, 15 people have been charged in Minnesota immigration crackdown with what's been going on in Minnesota. And let's bring you back a little closer to home. We're taking a live look at Atlanta Stadium right now. Things are very quiet in comparison to what it was like yesterday at this time. That's when we had a massive match unfolding inside of Atlanta Stadium. Stadium as Cabo Verde took on Spain. It was a stunner, to say the least. It ended in a draw, which caused a shocking, which is shocking because Cabo Verde was certainly the underdog going into the match. Spain, a force to be reckoned with in this tournament, was held back from scoring a single goal. I want you to take a listen to the goalie for the Cabo Verde team who made that all possible.
Well, Senior, congratulations. What a match. A clean sheet against Spain. Your first ever World Cup match. 7 saves for you. We've just seen you were crying on the pitch there. How do you sum up your emotions?
I work all my life for this moment, for this dream. A lot of generation in the past was dreaming with this. They didn't achieve. Many of ex-football players from national team, and now the dream come true. All of us, we are happy because we work a lot to be here. We deserve to be here today. A great game against Spain because it's one of the best national team in the world. My father, my brother, my sister is here. My mom didn't come. It's a pity because we didn't manage because of the visa, and I was very emotional because my grandma and my grandfather, they died. And I wish they was here, but unfortunately this is life. But I'm very happy for all of us and for the teamwork, and this is for all the Cape Verdean people.
How much belief does this point give you that this could be a special tournament for Cape Verde?
We come here to compete, so we know we are new in this kind of tournament, but we are here to compete. We know we have 2 world champion in our group, Arabia also with a lot of experience, but we are here to compete, and we will work a lot to show how is the Cape Verdean people, because we are very resilient, and we will work a lot for our people and to show all of the world, because we are small, but we have big heart, and we will do everything every single day in the training and in the match.
And yesterday's match was the first of 8 matches in the city of Atlanta, and the action continues on Thursday when Czechia takes on South Africa, and the FIFA World Cup fun in Atlanta all wraps up on July 15th for that semifinal action right here at Atlanta Stadium. You're looking live at it right now. And let's continue on here on this Tuesday afternoon. I want to talk about something that happened here in the city of Atlanta during the World Cup yesterday. Some World Cup fans say they aren't getting the tickets that they paid for. Here in Atlanta, stadiums reported that they were scammed after purchasing tickets online via StubHub or SeatGeek. So if you know those websites, those are resale websites, and it comes as officials have been warning of scams around the World Cup, and that some tickets on the secondary market could be so-called ghost tickets, or tickets listed that the seller doesn't actually own or have in their possession. I want you to take a listen to someone who says that they were scammed in all of this.
I got that ticket almost 6 months ago. I go on the website on the World Cup FIFA when they release, and they direct me on the StubHub, the website, and I got a ticket, and they send me a seat number and everything. And then after I try to reach out on a barcode, and I could not get it.
There's a lot of people, and like everyone's complaining the same thing. It's like they're putting in like a random email for you, and then nobody can log into their app or whatever to access their tickets, and the barcode isn't showing up. So it's like giving you seat numbers, it's giving you where you're gonna be, it's telling you what time you need to arrive, and but the only thing is it's not giving you the barcode that you can scan up there. So we went.
And so obviously we looked into all of this, and StubHub says any tickets purchased by them or purchased through them are covered under their Fan Protect Guarantee, which promises replacement tickets or a full refund. But as you might imagine, if you were planning to go to that game yesterday and all StubHub may be offering is that refund, that's obviously unfortunate for those fans because they may not actually be able to get inside the game, which is why they were here. It is important to note the FBI says it's identified dozens of fake websites and is warning fans not to click on sponsored links on Google and to be careful about typing the name of the website in correctly yourself. As we continue on here on this Tuesday afternoon, we're going to continue talking about the 2026 FIFA World Cup because Atlanta is one of the host cities. Tens of thousands of fans packed Atlanta Stadium yesterday for the city's first ever World Cup match, and it's marking a milestone years in the making. And with more matches, more visitors, and even bigger moments still ahead, the excitement across the city is just getting started. I caught up with Atlanta Host Committee Ambassador Kevin Egan this morning on Good Day Atlanta. Take a listen to our conversation. Atlanta Host Committee Ambassador and host of MLS 360, Kevin Egan, joins us now with details on it all. I mean, that was a shocker, a stunner, I think. When I was outside the stadium all day, and when everyone poured out, because we were obviously hearing all the cheers, I was shocked it ended like that. But all the Cabo Verde fans, they were just grateful to even be there.
Oh, this is it. Buddy, it was so special. One of the greatest upsets in World Cup history. We saw it yesterday, and there's been a lot of talk about this, 48-team World Cup, and does it dilute the talent and the quality? But we saw yesterday that a small nation like Cabo Verde can upset the odds, give us this wonderful David versus Goliath storyline. Spain, a favourite to win the World Cup, were absolutely humbled yesterday. Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams coming off the bench. It was such a special occasion. I love jumping in with the Cabo Verde fans at the Fan Fest. Everything about yesterday was just magical. I even saw online, it's gone viral, that someone bet $1 million on Spain to win yesterday, to win 85 grand, just to win 85 grand. Yeah, they were humbled too.
Yeah, lost some money there, sadly for him. But the story, the goalie, he got like 7 saves, right?
And he had like 25,000 followers on Instagram beforehand, and now I think he's around 5 million. So he, talk about the popularity of the global game. The fact that that's happened. Vozinha is his name. He was crying afterwards. His whole career. This yesterday was by far and away the highlight. This is what everyone will talk about. If they go and lose their next 2 games, Cabo Verde, they're still World Cup winners in their own minds. And it was just wonderful yesterday to see the diaspora from all over the world, proud Cape Verdeans, come to Atlanta and celebrate at the Fan Fest. The Fan Fest has been so much fun. Every single day I'm down there, I'm just buzzing.
Well, back to Cabo Verde, I think a lot of people didn't even know where they were in the world up until this, and now they will never forget where Cabo Verde is off the west coast of Africa.
A small nation, it consists of 10 islands off the west coast of Africa, like you say, and there are suburbs in the United States that have way more people living in them than the population of Cabo Verde. So, hey, long may it continue. Hopefully we get a few more upsets like this.
So you're the host of Fan Festival in downtown Atlanta. You have a break for the day, but all the action's back tomorrow, right?
Back tomorrow, yeah. I'm hosting the Fan Festival when we have a game in town that day, and it's just been such a laugh to see the Mexico fans on day one, the US crowd. My goodness, the US crowd delivered at Fan Fest, and now I think that's starting to compound because we realize that this US team can be really good when it matters most. But the Fan Fest, all in all, we've got Ludacris coming in soon, CeeLo Green, Killer Mike is there as well, I believe. Just I'll tell you, I was up at ESPN hosting all weekend, and some people at ESPN said to me, hey, Atlanta looks unbelievable right now. And I knew this would happen. I knew our city would stand up at this moment. And I'm watching around yesterday and looking at the fans enjoying themselves, and you've got the Atlanta skyline, you've got the stadium, which is arguably the best stadium in the world, steps from the Fan Fest. Everything is so accessible via the busiest airport in the world. I know I'm sounding like a politician right now, but I was just so proud watching on for what we've delivered in this moment.
Well, and all the fans were saying who've never been here to Atlanta that they absolutely loved the experience. And if I heard it one time, I heard it a million times. The Coca-Cola experience and the Georgia Aquarium were the top highlights besides the actual match yesterday.
Yeah, the match and just the atmosphere. Like I said before, I was speaking with Elise last week on the show, and I talked about how you're going to hear languages you've never heard before and taste food you've never tried before, and you have to dive in and embrace it. You're going to see tens of thousands of fans singing through the streets of Atlanta in unison. It's a beautiful celebration of humanity.
And quickly, let's talk about the U.S. men's national team. 4-1 against Paraguay. How are they? I mean, are we excited for Thursday?
The thing is, there was zero hype about the U.S. before this World Cup. Zero! And then they go and they put on their best U.S. performance at a World Cup ever, certainly since 2002. 4 goals against a side that only conceded 10 and 18 World Cup qualifiers. Mauricio Pochettino running the length of the field to celebrate with the players. The fans absolutely buzzing. 16 million people watched on Fox. 16 million? That's a great number. But That's going to double when all of a sudden everybody, I walked into the building and Davey Boy at security, Dave's a legend, every week I love chatting with him, and I said, "Do you watch the US?" He goes, "No." And he looked at me as if to say, "Where were they?" I said, "Dave, you got to watch the US. They're looking really good right now." And Flo Balogun, this guy scoring the goal right now, is a wonderful story. His mother was pregnant with him, passing through New York, and couldn't get on the flight because she was too pregnant at the time. So he ended up being born in New York City. He ended up being born in the United States, and that's how he qualifies to play for the US, and now he's balling out at the World Cup.
And before we run out of time, we have a game we have to play.
Uh-oh.
I'm told. I am not a soccer player by any means, but apparently I have to take you on, and Alex is going to join us as well. Please don't. I'm just hoping I don't end up on the floor. Because these shoots.
Alex, welcome to the show.
Hey guys.
So what are we going to do? We're going to dribble the ball. Is that right?
Well, yeah. So you got to weave in and out, okay, and back around, and we'll get to the end. So you'll see this in a lot of soccer training. Which way are you going to go first? I don't want to crash into you. It'll be like bumper cars.
Where should I go? Should I go this?
Whatever way you want.
Okay, I'll go this way.
Oh, you're cheating! Wow! Oh my goodness! All right, calm down.
Tyler's in the lead. Up there goes Kevin. Up. Tyler's knocked over and Kevin took it.
All right, now sibling rivalry. I want to see it. Let's have you.
Okay,
all right.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay,
Ready?
can
Take
we
your
get
marks.
Tyler? You can't cheat like that.
Oh, Tyler's having a laugh.
That's
Alex,
what you get. Oh no! The ball.
Come on, Alex! Alex, you're cheating. This is a disaster. What are we doing here? What is going on here?
That's Tyler's ball. They didn't even technically make it around the corner.
We just knocked these things everywhere.
That was a nice little workout. Had I brought actual gym shoes, it would have been over for you.
Over.
I didn't want to slide in my slides.
Yeah, she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to do it.
Well, I clearly lost. I knocked the cone over. So, Alex, you guys both get the win today.
I gotta give those players though credit because, and I've always been fascinated by soccer players. It's like their feet are their hands.
Yeah.
They so easily maneuver the ball.
Messi plays later on Fox
against
Algeria, and it's like the ball. It's like there's glue on his feet.
Exactly.
Like it sticks to his foot. It's incredible.
Obviously, looking forward to all the World Cup action. Kevin, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And Fox 5, of course, is your home for the FIFA World Cup. Here's a look at today's matches. Number 2 ranked France takes on Senegal at 3 p.m. Then at 6, Norway takes the World Cup stage. For the first time in nearly 3 decades, they'll face off against Iraq at Boston Stadium. And finally at 9 p.m., oh my God, I'm out of breath here. Powerhouse Argentina versus Algeria. All the coverage kicks off at 2 with the FIFA World Cup live right here on Fox 5. And I will tell you, I was out of breath and I was sweating, and I continued sweating after that. And I feel like I didn't even do much. Of course, both of them took the win, Alex and Kevin. But obviously, good fun on Good Day Atlanta this morning. For more Good Day Atlanta segments, you can head to our website, fox5atlanta.com. And of course, if you're looking for soccer action, you can flip on over to Fox 5 on air. You can watch the pregame show at 2 o'clock, and then all those matchups later on throughout the evening and afternoon on Fox 5 Atlanta. We still have a lot more ahead here for Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We are back after this. to Fox 5 News Live on this Tuesday afternoon. The time now 1:33 as we continue on for this interactive news conversation. Let's talk about the G7 summit. That's where President Donald Trump is today. And he met with the leader of Qatar. You're looking at some video from that meeting right now. During the G7 meeting in France, President Trump spoke on an initial agreement reached by the U.S. and Iran over extending a shaky ceasefire in the war, though an Iranian top diplomat says in order for the war to end, Israel must withdraw from Lebanon. It's a condition which Israel has rejected. Take a listen.
I want to mention Iran. We appreciate the relationship we've had over the short period of time with Iran. The primary thing is, we can talk about the Iran deal all day long. We're not investing any money. We have the right to if we want, but we're not investing any money. We didn't pay for it like Obama did. He paid billions of dollars. He paid $1.7 billion from an airplane, all green cash. It was crazy. I watched that. I couldn't believe it. But the one thing that's happening that's of note, frankly, the only thing that really matters to me, is Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. And it says it loud and clear. They're not going to develop it. They're not going to buy it.
Are you frustrated with Netanyahu, sir?
No. We had a great relationship. We're talking about some end details. I didn't like that he did an attack based on there's a very minor little thing with some drones that were released, and he ends up doing I saw that attack. I saw where that bomb went. Did you see what happened? That was a vicious, that was too much. You can do too much also. But we've had a very effective relationship. Without us, without the United States, there would be no Israel. Without me, there would be no Israel, because no other president was willing to do what I did. I've had a great relationship with Bibi, but now Bibi has to be more responsible with respect to Lebanon. So, no, I'm not happy with the way Israel has handled themselves with Lebanon and with Hezbollah. They should have been able to do the job faster. It just goes on forever. And when that happens, it throws a negative light on the big deal, and that's the deal with Iran. So when you ask me about Bibi, an unbelievable relationship. But Israel would have been blown up a long time ago had I not gotten involved.
And while Vice President J.D. Vance has confirmed that the interim deal was signed electronically on Sunday, a formal signing ceremony is expected to take place in Switzerland on Friday. And let's talk about another national story that's making headlines. 8 people died after a B-52 bomber crashed shortly after takeoff in California. It happened on Monday. The jet was leaving Edwards Air Force Base in Southern California's Mojave Desert, taking part in a routine test mission at the base when it crashed. It wasn't immediately clear what caused the incident, and authorities are now giving an update on the ongoing investigation. Take a listen.
This crash is deemed to be unsurvivable, and right now our thoughts and prayers are with the families of those that lost their loved ones. We're sending teams out to notify the next of kin right now as we speak, and those next of kin notifications will take place over the coming hours and remainder of the day. It was a B-52 that was on initial takeoff, supporting the radar modernization program, which is it was a local test sortie. It took off and immediately after takeoff crashed and burst into flames. Our team of first responders snapped into action and immediately cordoned off the area and took the appropriate action to start putting out the flames. While that was taking place, our base responded in kind to establish an emergency operations center and a wing operations center to ensure that the command and control of all base agencies and the response for the recovery effort was underway. After reviewing the footage of the crash, it was deemed that this was an unrecoverable crash and unsurvivable. At that point, we went into the notification process, and as I said before, that's taking place right now.
say this whole investigation could take about 6 months to fully get an understanding of what exactly happened. It is now time to take a look at the stories that are trending on our website, fox5atlanta.com, and our Fox Local app. Let's check in with our Jamison Moyer. Hey, Jamison.
Hey, Tyler. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Obviously, lots of people are probably talking about the election, but we already covered that. What are some of the other things people are looking at right now?
So we've got some new details out of Douglas County, where investigators have identified a body found in a local reservoir last month. Using DNA testing, officials confirmed the victim is 37-year-old Jamal Parker of Atlanta. His body was pulled from the Dog River Reservoir back on May 15th. Now, 2 people are facing murder charges, Brittany Amber Baker and Mario Andre Barber. Both of them are behind bars. Police have not released a motive or a cause of death yet, but if you know anything that could help investigators, you are asked to call investigator Natalie Polk with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. We have her contact information listed on our website at fox5atlanta.com. What's up?
Okay, so obviously I can understand why people are clicking on that. I know that story did do very well once we found out about that body being found in the reservoir. And so a very sad story, but at least there's possibly some closure for the family with some arrests being made. But we're obviously waiting to learn more details about what exactly happened. Let's talk about a different story. This one down in Clayton County, I believe, that involved a retired Atlanta police officer. What can you tell us about the situation about when he died?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting story. We don't have a ton of confirmed details yet regarding it, but Clayton County detectives are now investigating the sudden death of a retired Atlanta police officer found outside his Jonesboro home. 61-year-old James Edward Sinkfield was found unresponsive in his driveway Saturday morning. At the time of his death, Sinkfield was still serving as a reserve sergeant at the Fort Valley Police Department in South Georgia. Police say there are no immediate signs of foul play or a struggle, and they suspect he died from a medical emergency. However, Sinkfield's family spoke with Fox 5 on Sunday, and they are pushing for deeper answers. They told Fox 5 reporter Annie Mapp that they discovered blood throughout his home after his death. Relatives said that Sinkfield was also very active in the Atlanta community. He acted as a mentor and a teacher to students at the Mathematics Center. And so we don't know for sure what happened yet, but police are suspecting that it was a medical emergency, although his autopsy to determine exactly what happened is still pending.
Okay, I know you'll stay on top of that story, and let's talk about the one that's unfolding in Chamblee. This is the IRS building. This one gets my skin crawling because rats are a complete no-go for me, and clearly it was for a lot of those IRS employees who actually picketed last week and basically saying that they don't want to be working in these types of conditions. What's the update?
Yeah, so this is a story that we've been following, like you said, for a couple of weeks. Federal officials are now promising, quote, an aggressive attack to clear out the massive rodent infestation at the Chamblee IRS campus. So yesterday, top leadership from the IRS and the General Services Administration toured the facility after employees launched a protest describing a building overrun by rats and cockroaches. Some workers reported seeing rodents falling from the ceiling and having droppings on their desks. Staff members were finally cleared to work remotely on Friday following immense pressure from union leaders and local lawmakers. A specialized pest control company has been brought in, but there is no word yet on when it will be safe for employees to return to the actual physical building.
Yeah, you're looking at the building right now, and then now those are, I guess, some of the rats that have been found, some of the droppings. These were videos that I believe our Annie Mapp was able to get permission to use and show to all of you right now here on Fox 5 News Live. There's another one, certainly definitely concerning for the people who work in that building, and hopefully that they're able to get that under control soon. This is a little bit different of a story, more of a national story, and this has to do with the very popular drugs that people use to hopefully lose weight. People actually use them for other purposes as well, obviously, besides weight loss, but GLP-1s. What can you tell us about a new study?
So this is a new warning for anyone who takes popular weight loss and diabetes drugs like Ozempic and Mounjaro. A study of over 42,000 adults presented this weekend shows that patients already on multiple blood pressure medications now face a higher risk of severe dizziness, fainting, and dangerously low blood pressure after starting a GLP-1. Researchers say the risk is highest for seniors and those with diabetes, warning that fainting spells can lead to dangerous falls or even car crashes. Doctors aren't telling patients to stop the drugs necessarily, but they are urging physicians to closely monitor blood pressure and potentially lower other medications to keep patients safe.
Good to know if you know anyone who is on a GLP-1. This could be something that could save their life. Obviously, to hear the risks obviously is important because you know some of the benefits from it, but you should also know some of the risks when you take a medication. And on a lot of medications, there are risks involved. And so this new study finding that there is one, and it has to do with that blood pressure. So certainly going to watch that one. And for a lot of people who might be using it. Jameson, thanks so much for joining us here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Tyler.
And as we come back into our newsroom on this Tuesday afternoon, I want to talk about another story that we've been following all morning long. And this has to do with the new blockbuster Supergirl, which heads to theaters later this month. And fans got an early taste of the film thanks to a special activation last Friday at the Battery Atlanta. Let's check in with Fox 5's Paul Milliken. Hey, Paul.
Supergirl is landing in theaters later this month, but she's already made a big impact here in Cobb County. This is a Supergirl activation taking over the Battery Atlanta, and right now I'm getting my galactic glow up. I hope I'm looking amazing. Look, I just told Megan here she can spray all she wants. My hair's turning gray and it's all falling out anyway, but you know what? I'll take whatever I can get, and that actually feels very refreshing. I like that hairspray. Megan, thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Appreciate the glow up. Let's get up and let me show you because this is amazing. We're going to start over here. Torsha, it's so good to see you.
Hey, it's good to see you too.
Supergirl has landed at the Battery.
Yes, right? Yes, we're here at the Battery in Atlanta having a good time on our intergalactic stop.
But here's the thing, Torsha, I'm a little bit hungry right now. And I have to tell you, I mean, if you ask me, Paul Milliken, what do you want for lunch? I might say KFC. Can you help me out?
Oh, I think I can help you out.
What's back here?
Some of my lovely ladies help you out back here at KFC.
Okay.
Hi, ladies.
Hey, hey. Oh, look at them coming out. So what is this?
This is our chicken snacks that we have, and we have some special intergalactic sauce. We have Sweet Chili Revenge, Lobo's Wild Ranch, and Supergirl's Solar Honey Mustard. So you just tell them what kind of sauce you'd like.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, I think I got to go for the Sweet Chili Revenge because I'm a spicy boy.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, while they make that, what is happening over here, Torsha?
Oh, these are our alien friends. We just picked them up along the way, and so now, you know, this is our rest stop, so they're resting and hanging out.
Wait a minute. I mean, are we making noises over here? What? Oh, yeah. They sound just like a certain coworker. I won't say his name, but I think you know who I'm talking about. What's happening over here?
So over here, this is where people can come get some swag. Ooh. We're going to be doing customized airbrush t-shirts with the Supergirl logo on the front. Ooh. We also are giving away some fans, some little hang tags for their bags, which they can reach into a pouch, and it's just whichever one they get. It's a
I love a blind bag. Who are we going to get? Oh, I love these. And right. I love this. This is amazing.
Isn't that good? They can also get a bag, a Supergirl bag, and a Supergirl poster.
Revenge. It won't take your pain away.
Well, Super Torsha, I am so happy to see you. This is so much fun. Are you so excited to see this movie in theaters?
Oh, my gosh. I'm already counting down the days for June 26th. I will be there.
Amazing.
So make sure you guys are there, too.
Yeah, June 26th. Okay, now come with me if you would. I'm going to wait for my chicken, but look, I'm tired, okay? I have been working hard. I did all that walking. I'm coming to get my chicken in a minute, but I got to take a little rest here at the Intergalactic Rest Stop. So again, Supergirl coming to theaters June 26th.
Paul, looks fun. Thanks so much. And it looks like a good movie. We still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live at 1. We are back in just 2 minutes. And welcome back to to Fox 5 News Live here at 1 o'clock. On Good Day Atlanta this morning, we were talking about June being Men's Health Month. And on Good Day Atlanta, Caitlin Pratt talked about the early warning signs and of serious conditions. Let's take a look.
Let's dive right into our Pillar 1, hormonal balance. What are we talking about?
So when most people think about men's health, they think about one word, and that's testosterone. But what we really need to understand is that testosterone is not the only story when it comes to men's hormone health. But testosterone levels are dropping in men even as young as in their early 20s right now. So we want men to get educated about testosterone, not so they can run out and do testosterone therapy necessarily, but they can understand how the whole hormone puzzle winds together. So that means knowing where your cortisol levels are, because that can drop testosterone, where things like your DHEA, your thyroid, your insulin, those are all critical hormones that are so important to know when it comes to men's hormonal health. And I feel like a lot of times we just miss the boat on that one. We only focus on testosterone, or we only focus on testosterone after 60 or so. And honestly, we're learning that's just too late.
So just ask for a panel.
Ask for a panel, dig in, know your levels.
Great. Okay. Pillar 2, let's talk about that, metabolic health.
Yeah, unfortunately, only about 7% of American men really have good metabolic health, and that's concerning. And when we talk about metabolic health, we're talking about their cholesterol profile, we're talking about sort of their visceral fat, their muscle mass, all of these different factors, even their flexibility go into overall metabolic health. And what's happening is that many men, again, focus maybe just on weight or maybe just on muscle mass, but we really want that visceral fat component to be managed as well, because that's going to drive insulin, cardiac issues, so many other issues that we deal with when it comes to men's health. So it's really important for men to understand that they've got to eat for metabolism, which means getting the protein in. So at least 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of protein is what we usually recommend. They've got to watch alcohol. Alcohol will really impact your overall metabolic rate and your metabolic health. We know that they need to move, so strength training about 3 times a week is usually recommended. And then some sort of other cardiovascular movement throughout the rest rest of the week is really important too, to get those metabolic numbers where they need to be.
So those are the interventions that will work.
That would work.
best.
Exactly. And those are easy things that you can
Yeah.
usually kind of wind into your lifestyle that actually make a difference long term.
For sure. Okay, pillar 3, cardiovascular health. We hear a lot about this, and it's so important.
Yes. Cardiovascular health, and again, what we're talking about here is heart health, the risk for stroke, even diabetes. There's so many of these different conditions that we hear about over and over again that really, again, impact men. Women too, but is the #1 killer for men, you know, is issues with cardiovascular health. Fortunately, it is so preventable. Only 30% is really genetic, right? So many people think, oh, it's genetics, I have no control over this. But think about that other 60%, 50 to 60% that you can control. We need to be paying attention to things like inflammation, insulin resistance. These are 2 concepts that are working over a long period of time before you even start to show things like plaque in the heart or signs of, you know, that you might be vulnerable to stroke or diabetes or some of these bigger conditions. So I think for men it's really, again, important to think about what does it mean to have really good long-term prevention plan for cardiovascular health, and that's a healthy diet again, getting in a lot of like plant-based foods, getting in the fiber they need, reducing alcohol, bringing the movement component in as well, but then at the end of the day also having an element that manages stress, because what we understand about cardiac risk is that you can have the risk factors, which are high blood pressure, high cholesterol, you know, many of these different things that we talk about, but sometimes, you know, those risk factors don't really come into play until you have a very stressful event. So understanding the stress component is critical too.
Makes sense, and that brings us to our 4th pillar, stress and mental resilience. And as you mentioned, that can cause physical problems.
Yeah, I feel like all of this stuff is sort of a domino effect, right? So, you know, for many men, they internalize their stress. They don't have the outlets to talk about or to release stress. Stress creates, you know, unchecked stress over a long period of time creates cortisol and a cortisol loop where you're just chronically stressed and you have inflammation, then you have the insulin resistance, and you're just setting yourself up, so to speak. So for men, what we really want to help them understand is that when they're starting to feel tired, when they're starting to feel foggy, it's not just aging, right? It's not any of those type of symptoms. It's more a warning sign that maybe their stress levels need a better management plan, but most men will ignore that and then start to develop brain fog, look for behaviors to help them with that or to help them with energy, and then they're kind of down that spiral where, you know, because of their behaviors, because they don't feel good, because they're chronically stressed, now they have insulin resistance, now they have inflammation, now they're at a higher cardiometabolic risk. So at the end of the day, you know, I think these soft signs, whether it's a little bit of a change in weight and belly weight, whether it's fatigue, whether it's the ability to concentrate or focus, you know, all of these soft signs are sort of a warning call to the body to, hey, let's get a cortisol plan in place. Maybe it's something that you do every single day that helps you to center your nervous system, helps you to calm down. Maybe you need to be in nature more. Maybe you need to have more hobbies where you can turn your brain to something else so that you really are getting fulfilled in multiple different ways rather than maybe just working constantly on the same thing over and over again.
And you can start small too.
Yes,
for
absolutely.
Sure. For sure. Thank you, Dr. Taz.
Thank
so great
you.
to see you as always. And hey, you can listen to her new episodes of her podcast, Dr. Taz's Hall Plus, every Tuesday, wherever you download and get your podcasts.
Certainly interesting conversation and an important one. Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 5 News Live here at 1 o'clock. I'm Tyler Finger. Thanks for joining us. I do appreciate you streaming along with us. We still have a lot more ahead here for Fox 5 News Live at 2 and 3 o'clock. We're going to be talking about the election, that runoff primary election that's going on today. We have reporters scattered throughout pretty much every different possible campaign event that's going on tonight, and we're obviously going to be keeping you updated. Ariel Onstott will join you here at 2, and Tom Haynes will be here at 3. We'll be right back in just 2 minutes.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thanks so much for being here. It is a runoff day here in Georgia where you're going to get to cast your vote in some very important races that could shape the future of the midterm elections and our state come November and beyond. So let's talk about this, because as we take a look at the primary election runoff today, I want to run you through some of the races that we're monitoring in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Ultimately, Georgia voters are casting ballots today in a lot of key races, like I mentioned. And we're going to see among the most high-profile contests, the Republican runoff for the U.S. Senate. The winner's going to advance to challenge incumbent Democrat Senator Jon Ossoff in the general election this November. And we've seen a split in the Senate runoff where Georgia's most influential Republicans don't necessarily align on the candidates they're endorsing. United States Representative Mike Collins has secured the endorsement of President Donald Trump, while former college football coach Derek Dooley is backed by Governor Brian Kemp. Kemp is arguing that political outsiders have historically performed well against Democratic incumbents, while President Trump has thrown his support behind Collins as Republicans are trying to reclaim that Senate seat come November. Now, another key race we're monitoring is the governor's race runoff here on the ballot. We're going to decide, voters get to decide between Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who is facing businessman Rick Jackson. This is a closely watched race for the Republican Party nomination, and ultimately, Jones has earned the endorsements of Governor Brian Kemp and President Donald Trump. Kemp has described Jones as a conservative candidate best positioned to keep the governor's office in Republican hands. So let's get out to our Deidre Dukes, who joins us live now from the watch party, where later we're going to see Burt Jones and other supporters come out. Deidre, I understand it's calm there now, of course. Things are still early, but you are following this closely.
That's right, Ariel, and we are joining you live from Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones's hometown of Jackson, Georgia. He and his family go back generations here. We're joining you live from a polling location where, as you can see behind me, even though it's very gloomy out here, far different from when we were out here during the primary races, even though it's gloomy out here, we are still seeing several Jones supporters out here despite the ongoing rain we've been experiencing this afternoon. Now, we just checked voter turnout numbers on the Secretary of State's website, and roughly 488,000 Georgia voters have cast ballots in the runoff so far. That's about 6.5% of eligible voters. Now, Republicans continue to outpace Democrats in the number of ballots cast since the start of early voting. But overall, it is historic, as is historically the case with runoffs, turnout is low. Now, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and billionaire businessman Rick Jackson advanced to a June 16th runoff in the race for Georgia Republican primary for governor after neither secured a majority. Jones got a big boost in momentum in his campaign over the weekend when Governor Kemp announced he was endorsing the lieutenant governor. The two men appeared together at a news conference Monday, and here's what they had to say.
Honored to have everybody's endorsement, but the most important endorsement I've been working toward every single day is that of the people of Georgia, because that's what matters most.
It just shows that he has confidence that we know how to win this race. We know we're in the lead in this thing, and he knows that I will represent the state of Georgia and the values that the people of the state of Georgia have.
That is sound from the Senate candidates. From what I can hear. I can't see. I don't have a monitor out here, but I believe it's the Senate candidates. Do we have the sound for the
we're going to figure it out, Deidre.
Governor
I want to make sure we're able to get in the right one, because yes, you are correct. The minute we started to watch that, I know you're looking for Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and Governor Brian Kemp. While we look for that, in the meantime, tell us a little bit about what the Lieutenant Governor and Governor had to say, and we're going to see if we can get that in on our end.
Okay, thank you, Ariel. Well, as you can imagine, because this was particularly a very competitive race with both the Lieutenant Governor and businessman Rick Jones running neck and neck in this race during the primary as well as during the runoff, we are seeing that we do expect that we're going to see more of the same this go round. And so to have Governor Kemp really endorse him, it is believed by the Jones camp can really push him over the top. We do have that sound now. Let's listen to what they had to say.
Open me up. Hey, Deidre, it looks like we're having a technical difficulty with that sound, so we'll bring that in at a later time. I can see it's raining out there, so I won't keep you any further because I know you don't have an umbrella. I can see that. But I know you're going to be following us for primary runoff coverage throughout the evening. And as more supporters and others come out, we'll stay tuned to you to keep us updated from the latest there in Jackson, Georgia. So, Deidre, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, we're going to let Deidre get back to it, you guys. And as we continue here, we're going to move on because we want to show you both sides of the equation. We're talking about Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones running for the governor's role. And we also have billionaire businessman Rick Jackson hoping to secure the Republican Party nomination. And that is where we have our Denise Dillon watching the latest from Rick Jackson's watch party outside the perimeter here, or right on. And Denise, it is great to see you. I understand things might be calm there. Can you tell us from Rick Jackson's watch party?
Yeah, we have a tiny bit more activity than Deidre had because right now some of the staff members are busy setting up for the big watch party tonight. They're getting the T-shirts out, the hats, the pins, and they've already set up the big Jackson backdrops over there. Jackson has really had an extremely busy past few weeks, and along the way he has picked up a number of endorsements. Just yesterday, he was in Alpharetta, and we have some video of this, with Senator Texas Cruz. He also has a number of state leaders backing him, including Attorney General Chris Carr. Now, of course, as you may remember, Carr ran for governor but did not make it to the runoff.
I have 3 statewide officials that have endorsed me: John King, Bubba McDonald, and Chris Carr. They've all worked for my opponent, with my opponent. Just think about that. They're endorsing me.
And while Jackson does not have the endorsement of Governor Brian Kemp, as you heard Deidre talk about just a little while ago, while campaigning yesterday, Jackson did say that when he is elected, he will continue to build on all that Governor Kemp has done while he has been governor of Georgia. But of course, first, we have to get through tonight. We're going to be here at the watch party, which starts in a little more than 2 hours, and we're going to be watching those numbers. We're going to be here all night, and we'll be bringing you the latest.
Denise, thanks so much for keeping us updated. I do find it interesting when Governor Brian Kemp did endorse Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. He said, this isn't a knock on Rick Jackson. Rather, this is who I think is best poised to win come this November. So kind of an interesting choice of words. I know the governor did seem to wait a little bit longer before making his endorsement for the governor's race. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything shakes out.
Yeah, it really sounded like he liked both men, and he had to pick, so he went with Burt Jones.
Yeah, Denise,
the way it made it sound anyway.
It did sound that way. Denise, thank you so much for joining us live. I know you're going to be with us throughout the evening as we keep you guys updated on election stuff. So, Denise, thank you. I'll let you get back to it. You guys, as you continue along with us here at 2 o'clock, thanks so much for being live with us. Let me give you an overview for how the afternoon is going to go. We just covered the governor's runoff race. And as we continue for the governor's runoff race here in the primaries, and as we continue, we're going to take a look at the candidates for lieutenant governor, both the GOP and Democratic candidates. Coming up at 3, we're going to talk about the race for Fulton County Commissioner Chair, as well as that U.S. Senate seat. So those are the 2 races we're going to discuss at 3. Here at 2 now, we're going to get into some local news headlines before we talk about some national news with the Iran ceasefire that's in effect and how the president is trying to sell this peace deal. In the meantime, let's bring you closer to home and talk about some stories that I know our community is following, starting with a pregnant mother who was killed in what her family is calling a targeted shooting. This is absolutely heartbreaking. The mother was sleeping. The family of 23-year-old Shakia Pridgeon says someone fired several shots through her window overnight. She lived at the Woods at Pepper Tree Apartments here in DeKalb County, and her family says Pridgeon and her unborn child were both killed in that shooting. They are heartbroken and demanding justice. I'd like to let you take a listen to what her father, Paco Pridgeton, told us this morning.
I just had a baby shower on Sunday. She was a loving, sweet, caring person with a good heart, and somebody took the life of her.
The baby also didn't make it, so she passed away, and the baby passed away. She was in the bed sleeping when she was hit multiple times.
So I see that's the bedroom right there.
Yes.
So like, do you think she was targeted in that bedroom?
She was targeted in that bedroom. She was sleeping with her 2 children in the bed with her. They made it. They was beside her sleeping when I got to the apartment. But I want the world to know that somebody took a blessing from all of us, and we will get justice. You just don't know how strong this family is together, how much we done lost. This will not be the last time you hear from us. We will get justice for you, Shakaya and Kyron. Kyron is her son's name. He was due to be born next week.
Just heartbreaking. You heard from her family that she was in the bed sleeping when she was hit multiple times. Her other 2 children are 1 and 3 years old, both in the bed with her sleeping as well, according to her family. And even though they were sleeping in the bed at the time of that shooting, both of her other children are okay physically. Her family believes this was targeted, saying the gunman appeared to know that she lived alone in that apartment. Police have not yet released any details on this incident, but we'll keep you updated as they release any new information. I'd also like to talk about a shooting that unfolded in Lithonia.
They called me around 10:37 p.m. crying hysterical.
Who were shot. We're going to get to that soundbite in just a minute, but 5 people were shot Monday night during a party in Lithonia. Officers swarmed this neighborhood Monday evening after they got that call. This happened on the 2000 block of Mallard Crest in Lithonia. According to the DeKalb County Police Department, 5 people were shot and rushed themselves to an area hospital. None of the injuries are life-threatening, according to police, but witnesses tell us there was a large party at the home which precipitated that shooting, which led up to it. Police say it appears there was a fight that started right before that shooting happened. And initially, police believed 3 people were shot, but later learned that 5 people were shot. One parent described receiving a terrifying phone call from her daughter who had been attending that party. Take a listen.
My daughter called me around 10:37 p.m. crying hysterically, saying that somebody was shot. One of her friends got shot. The police aren't telling me anything. I don't know nothing. I just know that she's down there being interviewed without a parent.
You could hear how she called her daughter, or her daughter called her in distress, and how that made the mother feel. She said that according to her daughter, someone had been shot and one of her friends was among the victims. Now, authorities have not released the identities of the people who were hurt. It also remains unclear which hospital the victims drove themselves to for treatment. But as we get new details, we'll keep you updated. I'd like to let you know as well that a gunman is being sought in the shooting death of a 14-year-old boy. You're taking a look at a story that's captivated many on social media and here in our community because Atlanta police are trying to find the person responsible for killing this teenager in southeast Atlanta early Sunday morning. This boy that you just saw was 14-year-old Sire Reeves. And ultimately, youth mentors, one specifically, Joe Carrick, says that this teen was a dedicated volunteer with a bright future. Police were combing that scene for clues Monday. They've not released any updates on any suspects, but I can tell you how this unfolded in terms of the police call. Atlanta police went to a vacant lot behind a strip mall near the intersection of Flat Shoals Road and Fayetteville Road around 1 in the morning Sunday. And when they got there, they say they found the teen with multiple gunshot wounds. Officers tried to save the boy at the scene until the ambulance arrived and medics rushed him to Grady Memorial Hospital, where he ultimately died from his injuries. A makeshift memorial with 2 poster boards are covered in tributes now sitting outside that storefront near the scene of the shooting. One of the handwritten messages reads, "God is forever with him, so are we. R.I.P." Another forever 14. Now, one neighbor expressed the grief gripping their community after the accident. I'd like to let you take a listen.
I have young children myself, so, I mean, it's heartfelt. I mean, if something was to happen to them, I mean, I don't know how it would function. We have to start looking out for each other instead of fighting against each other. I mean, ain't no other way to it.
As police continue to investigate, we're going to continue to keep you updated if they put out a call for action for any suspects or need your help identifying. Keep in mind that surveillance footage from the nearby businesses will likely be critical for police as they try to identify any suspects. So we'll keep you updated there. I want to let you know that a man is missing and his aunt is pleading for the public to come forward if they have seen this man, if they have any information on where he might be. And DeKalb County Police want your help locating 20-year-old Albert, or Alex Waugh. He's an autistic man who went missing from a Lithonia group home with no money or identification. Ultimately, they are searching for him still after he walked away from that group home 9 weeks ago. This group home is in the 1700 block of South Stone Mountain Road, and you can see he has brown hair, brown eyes, and stands about 5'7" and weighs 140 pounds. He was last seen near a strip mall around the corner on Wellborn Road wearing a light brown t-shirt, black shorts, and it was carrying a black backpack. Now, he was diagnosed with autism and ADHD, leaving him with extremely limited verbal skills. His aunt says that Alex does not volunteer information. Authorities escalated the search by issuing a Maddie's call, but investigators face steep hurdles because this man left with no money or identification. I'd like to let you take a listen to what his aunt has to say.
Alex is autistic and ADHD, and he has limited verbal skills. He doesn't have a good sense of direction, so if he's walking in one direction away from somewhere, he doesn't know that he needs to turn around and go back. He had no money, no ID, no form of anything to identify who he is. I'm holding on to hope. I'm trying to stay positive, but it's been 9 weeks now, and I don't know what else to do. I want to find my nephew and bring him home and make sure that he's happy and healthy and well taken care of.
Just heartbreaking. You can feel she really wants to find him. So keep in mind, if this man looks familiar to you, you recognize him in any way, call 911 or the DeKalb County Police Department immediately. He is considered a vulnerable adult. As we continue here, I want to let you know we're learning more information in the death of a retired Atlanta police officer. You may remember earlier this week we reported that his family is searching for answers after his death. And now we're learning a little bit more from police who are investigating, Clayton County Police to be specific. They had responded to a home in the 70 block of Upper Riverdale Road around 9 a.m. Saturday after receiving reports of an unresponsive person. And they ultimately found retired Atlanta police officer James Edward Sinkfield dead in his own driveway. When officers got to the Jonesboro location, they say that the 61-year-old was unresponsive. Fire personnel who responded to the scene confirmed that Sinkfield had died. Detectives are also combing through the area but have found no evidence of a physical altercation or foul play at this point in the investigation. An autopsy has not been completed, but so far police believe that Sinkfield may have died from a medical emergency. Clayton County Police say they continue to investigate the circumstances surrounding the incident and will conduct a thorough investigation. The case remains active and ongoing. Family members who spoke to us here at Fox 5 have been deeply concerned about the circumstances of his death because they say they found blood throughout his home and they want to make sure they understand what his final moments look like, so to understand if there was any foul play or any person or suspicious circumstances caused his death. So we're going to continue to keep you updated on this. For now, the police department in Clayton County believes that this could be a medical emergency, but again, no autopsy results have been released, and that has not been done. A relative has said that Sinkfield was an incredible member of the community. He served at a mathematics center off of Campbellton Road, helped mentor youth, and was very active in his community. Despite retiring from the Atlanta Police Department, he did not slow down from life. So we'll keep you updated as we learn any new details. I also want to let you know that 2 people have been charged in the death of a man who was found in a Douglas County reservoir. Ultimately, 2 people have been arrested, and you can see their mugshots here on the screen. The Atlanta man's body was recovered from a Douglas County reservoir last month, and according to the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, the body of that man was found in the Dog River Reservoir along Highway 166 on May 15th. Investigators worked with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to identify the victim, and June 15th, note, the GBI positively identified that man as 37-year-old Jamal Parker. They believe he's from Atlanta, and they found that out through DNA comparison. As the investigation progressed, authorities then arrested Brittany Amber Baker and Mario Andre Barber. Both have been charged with murder in connection with Parker's death, but we do not know how Parker died or what in part of the investigation led police to these specific suspects. As we get new information, we're going to continue to keep you updated. So I'm taking a look at our timing, you guys. Coming up next, we're going to get a check of your local weather forecast with meteorologist Lauren Robinson. And then I want to get the latest on the Iran ceasefire deal, what we're learning and what President Trump has to say about this. And another thing to keep in mind, the French army now saying that there's increasing probability of conflict within Russia, or with Russia, rather, from a European standpoint within the next 2 years. Interesting. We're going to talk about it all coming up here at 2 o'clock.
And I will be voting for Burt Jones tomorrow.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thanks so much for being here at 2 o'clock. Let's get a check of your weather forecast with meteorologist Lauren Robinson. A little bit rainier than it was yesterday. We're going to check to see what the rest of the week has in store.
We're going to continue to watch for these scattered rain showers all across the area as we move through the rest of our Tuesday. Most of the rain is looking to settle along and south of the I-20 corridor, but that doesn't mean you can't get a couple stray raindrops across northern portions of the viewing area. As we go through the rest of the afternoon, we're still going to watch for scattered rain showers. A few isolated storms are possible, but we're not looking for any sort of severe weather for our Tuesday. Maybe some localized flooding and some lightning and thunder. Things start to wind down down as we move late into the night and into early tomorrow morning. So as we wake up Wednesday morning, we're going to see the return of the warmth and the humidity. We're going to see more cloud cover, but you will stay dry most of your Wednesday, not the entirety of the day, but most of your hours will be dry. But as we go through the afternoon, that's where you could see maybe a pop-up shower or storm here or there, and then things start to wind back down as we move into our Wednesday night. Now, all eyes are on Thursday because we have a big day in town. That's going to be our next FIFA World Cup match in Atlanta. So by the time you're waking up early Thursday morning, it's hot and humid. We're seeing that cloud cover lingering. By noon, that's when we're supposed to have kickoff. That's where things are still looking mostly dry. Maybe we start to see the approach of a couple isolated storms, but that's nothing compared to what we're expecting Thursday evening into Friday morning. This is when we're looking for widespread, strong storms Thursday evening into Friday morning. So of course, that's something you want to keep in mind if you do have maybe some post-match celebrations in mind. We will be seeing some heavy downpours, and some of these storms could be pretty strong to severe as we move through our Friday morning. So because of it, we're going to look for some heavier downpours. Today, we're not going to get a whole lot of accumulation, maybe up to around 1/4 of an inch. Far south, we could see maybe up to 1/2 an inch. That's where we're going to see the more steady rainfall today. Tomorrow, we add just a couple of raindrops to that bucket, but take a look at how this map really lights up as we move through our Thursday into our Friday morning. This is where we're expecting those stronger, more severe storms, and this is where we could see maybe a couple inches of rain. This is also where we're going to look for the strongest storms. Thursday and into Friday again, we are under level 1 out of 5 for severe weather. That means our entire viewing area does run the risk for maybe some damaging winds with those storms. We are looking for maybe a brief spin-up tornado or two, and of course heavy downpours that could lead to some flooding. So in the meantime, today is going to be a bit cooler. We're about 10 degrees below average for this time of year as temperatures max out in the middle 70s. By tomorrow, we start to rise into the middle 80s. That's where we're going to get maybe a very isolated shower or storm through the afternoon. And then by Thursday and Friday, these are going to be the days where we're looking for those stronger storms. These are also going to be our more outdoorsy active days because we have FIFA World Cup match, and then we have Juneteenth. Both of these days, you just want to make sure you're paying attention to the forecast. As we move into the weekend, we have more smooth weather in store. The sunshine returns. We have minimal storm chances, and those afternoon temperatures in the middle to upper 80s are closer to where we should be this time of year.
All right, Lauren, thanks so much for keeping us updated on what to expect here in the days ahead. As promised, you guys, let's talk about the latest regarding some national stories we're following, starting with the latest on this B-52 bomber crash in California. An investigation is underway after you can see those heavy plumes of smoke there in the desert. Footage captured that crash or the aftermath of it. The Air Force says all 8 people who were on board this B-52 bomber have died after it took off from a military base in Southern California and then crashed. It's unclear what caused the tragedy, and it could take 6 months to complete an investigation into it. Authorities have reviewed footage of the crash after it was determined that no one could have survived. Those on board included government contractors and uniformed military personnel. Boeing also confirmed 2 of its employees were on that bomber. The long-range B-52 bomber is used to carry weapons, including nuclear ones, and it's been used in conflicts from Vietnam to Iran. We're going to keep you updated as we get any new details. In the meantime, President Donald Trump is working to sell his peace deal with Iran to leaders at the G7 summit, and he's being met with some skepticism. The president, though, is maintaining the United States is not paying Iran a dime, and the regime will face, quote, ultimate consequences if it obtains a nuclear weapon. The president is working to push back on reports that the U.S. is going to pay Iran up to $300 billion as a part of this agreement. There are few details on this ceasefire deal available or what this ultimate peace deal will look like, but the president says it focuses on ending Iran's ability to produce a nuclear weapon, while apparently not tackling other issues, including Iran's support for proxy groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon. One reporter asked the president if this deal could survive if Israel were to attack Lebanon, and One thing that the president had said was that he considers the Iran-Lebanon conflict a minor war, and the Iran focus is the big one. That's at odds with Iran's claim that Israel's withdrawal from Lebanon is part of this deal. The Israeli government says it's not going to abide by that. The president believes he's confident he can get Israel to go along with the plan. Meanwhile, critics are accusing President Trump of using this deal as a political off-ramp, claiming that it doesn't address the root issues and the regime is going to return to business as usual after that war ends. President Trump says the Strait of Hormuz is going to be fully reopened on Friday after that signing ceremony in Switzerland. The president also says he's open to having Congress review the Iran deal. He made that comment while speaking with the United Arab Emirates President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan at the G7 summit. And the commander-in-chief was asked about South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham's comment because the senator had said he was pleased with the potential deal, but concerned Iran and the United States have different understandings of what the agreement entails. Take a listen.
This agreement covers something very nicely. We're not paying for anything. We're not doing anything. The markets now are higher than they were when we started. Remember that. The stock market now is 2,500, maybe even more than that, points higher than it was when we said. It's pretty amazing. This agreement's about one thing, that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Never, ever, ever. The rest of it's irrelevant, frankly.
Senator Graham also said that an eventual agreement with Iran should be sent to Congress for review. Would you do that?
I never thought of it, but I would. I wouldn't mind. I mean, the Democrats, we call them Democrats because they're dumb people. The Democrats are, well, what I'd like to do is send it to Congress saying you shouldn't approve it, and I'll get it approved. Because they do, whatever I say, they want to do the opposite. It's not working too well for them, by the way. But yeah, I never thought about sending it, never even thought about it, but I will. I will send it to Congress. I like the idea.
On another topic.
I mean, who wouldn't approve it? Let's let them have a nuclear weapon. The Democrats will say, oh, they should have a nuclear weapon. They'll go crazy. I like the idea. Send it to Congress, please, all right?
So as this continues, the president and G7 leaders and guest nations continue to meet on the second day of the Group of Seven summit there in France. In the meantime, the Swiss government is releasing where this peace signing with Iran will take place. Switzerland says that the signing ceremony will be held near Lucerne on Friday. The Swiss Foreign Ministry says this resort here in Oberschen is going to be the location, proposed by officials from both sides, as well as Pakistani and Qatari mediators. The luxury resort destination overlooks the picturesque Lake Lucerne and the Alps. The agreement is said to include immediate opening of the Strait of Hormuz and lifting of the U.S. blockade of Iran. In the meantime, President Trump is threatening France with new tariffs, and it comes as the Supreme Court has declined new limits on his tariff authority. With the war in Iran cooling, President Trump is turning his attention back to his trade agenda. In an interview with the New York Post, the president has threatened to impose 100% tariffs on French wines and champagne. That is, unless France drops the digital services tax on American tech companies. During the G7 summit on Monday, French President Emmanuel Macron pushed back, saying it's not for the United States to decide what European or French law should be. Now, France first applied the 3% levy on large digital companies in 2019, but the White House tells Fox Business the measure has greater impact on American tech firms, adding, quote, the administration is committed to using the many legal authorities at our disposal to defend American workers and businesses, end quote. Now, according to Eurostat data, alcohol is one of the EU's top exports here to the U.S., worth more than $10 billion. And this all happens as the president is trying to rebuild his global tariff agenda. On Monday, the Supreme Court declined to put new limits on the president's tariff authority, leaving in place import taxes that he put on China during his first term. The White House has proposed additional tariffs on China after the country allegedly failed to enforce bans on forced labor. Now let's talk about what I mentioned, how the French army or French military is warning of a future conflict with Russia. France's military leaders are warning of an increasing probability of conflict with Russia as they try to transform France's armed forces for the 21st century. A senior French military commander said Sunday Western nations may have to confront Russia on Europe's eastern flank within the next 2 years. The comments come as one of Europe's largest defense defense trade shows Eurostatory opened near Paris. Demonstrations of military technology such as robots, autonomous vehicles, and surveillance and attack drones were all on display. The Eurostatory CEO says this year's exhibition focused on AI, quantum technologies, and the new space sector. The show was attended by French military and police officials and defense manufacturers. French military leaders say they expect to engage in combat similar to Ukraine after Russia's attacks. And a French major general says such a conflict would be demanding in terms of lives and ammunition used, and would also be highly technical and digital in this day and age. The French armed forces are prioritizing developing capabilities and preparing their operations. We're going to continue to keep you updated as we get any new information on that. But as we continue, you guys, we're going to take a look here closer to home. We talked about the race, the primary runoff race for governor, the Republican primary with Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and billionaire businessman Rick Jackson. Now coming up here, we're going to break down the Democrat and Republican candidates running for lieutenant governor. That's straight ahead. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thanks so much for joining us here live at 2 o'clock. It is great to have you. And it is a runoff election day here in the state of Georgia. Many candidates hoping to secure their party's nomination for the general ballot here come November. So let's talk about the latest with the lieutenant governor's race. Specifically, let's get out to our Larry Spruill to discuss some of the candidates hoping to run there on a Democratic ticket. So, Larry, it is great to see you. Tell us a little bit about the Democrats running for lieutenant governor.
Well, good afternoon, Ariel. So as of right now, this race is between a current state senator and a former state senator. And let's just take a dive into this race and who these candidates are. And so on the Democratic side, this race is between attorney and state senator Josh McLaurin and consultant and former state senator Nabila Parks. Now, the two have similar campaign platforms like expanding Medicaid, lowering the cost of living here in Georgia, and protecting Georgian civil rights. Now, in May, today, McLaurin was the first place finisher in that primary with roughly 41% of the vote. Parks came in second place with nearly 40% of the vote. Now, many are expecting this to be a close runoff race tonight as well. I did reach out to both campaign parties, and I heard back from Josh, and we're expecting to go talk to him shortly after this hit as well. Now, in regards to Parks, I'm still waiting to hear back from her campaign manager, but we do know that they will not have a watch party tonight, that she will be watching the results with close friends and family. Meanwhile, as for Josh, it will be right here in this area. We're in this building to my left, your right on the screen. So we will be talking to him in regards to as the results are starting to come in later on today as well. But many people are still expecting this to be a very close race in spite of the low turnout that I've been talking to many political figures here and that's been watching this race. They have expressed a low turnout on today when it comes to those voters in person, but we still have early voting as well. So right now it's just wait and see, Ariel.
Larry, thanks for keeping us updated on these candidates. I think so often we get caught up with maybe some of these higher profile races like the governor's race or the U.S. Senate race, no doubt important. But the lieutenant governor, of course, going to have a big impact on Georgians here at home. So something to keep an eye on as we see how this shakes out. So, Larry, thank you for joining us live. I'll let you get back to it. We're going to see you again this evening as you track both of these candidates trying to get the Democratic Party's nomination. So, Larry, thank you. As we continue along here, you guys, let's switch gears and talk about the Republican candidates trying to get the party's nomination for the November midterms. And let's get out to our Ray Urena to talk about some of these candidates. Ray, thanks so much for joining me live. Tell us a little bit about the Republicans who are trying to become the next lieutenant governor of Georgia.
Hey, Ariel. Yeah, we have current state senator Greg Dolezal, and we have former president pro tem of the Georgia State Senate, John F. Kennedy. Both of them are locked into this runoff that ends today. We're at a polling location right now in Northwest Atlanta, and just across the street from us is where John F. Kennedy will be holding his election night watch party. We did reach out to Greg Dolezal's campaign to see if he will have his own election night party. It does not appear like he will be having one of those. But both of these candidates, they did not receive more than 50% of the vote back in late May, so that's where we have, my apologies, a couple weeks ago, so that's where we are headed now with these two candidates deadlocked in a runoff. And both these candidates, they have a similar political history. They're both state senators. John F. Kennedy, now former state senator, he did not run for re-election, just to focus on his lieutenant governor campaign. And Greg Dolezal, he is a current state senator. And both of them have similar issues. They both want to reduce or eliminate the state income tax. They both have similar views on immigration, saying they potentially want stiffer penalties on local municipalities that do not comply with immigration enforcement. And they're also wanting data centers to, invest more of their monies. They're against the tax credits that have been given to data centers in the last few years here in Georgia. Now, these two candidates, they recently were on a political debate on our airwaves last week prior to this runoff election. Here's them explain their platforms to viewers.
I want to keep Georgia growing. I want to make sure we've got a great, robust economy, great jobs for good, hardworking Georgians. Number two, I want to make sure that we keep Georgia learning, that we make sure that our public school system is properly resourced and funded, and that our children graduating from school are ready for their tomorrow. And finally, I want to keep Georgia safe. I want to make sure that our sheriffs and our law enforcement are properly funded and that they know we've got their back.
So if you're looking for someone who will fight for election integrity, get rid of the data center tax credits, ban Sharia law, and fight for conservative principles every single day, I'd be honored to have your vote. Because Georgia doesn't belong to the special interests. It belongs to you, and I'd be honored to be your lieutenant governor.
And again, polls close here in Atlanta, Northwest Atlanta, at 7 o'clock. And as you heard Larry say, they don't know yet who they're going to be running in terms of their Democratic nominee in November. They're waiting on the result from that runoff that also ends later today. Ariel?
Ray, thank you for that thorough explanation on both of these candidates and getting a better understanding of their platforms. You know, I think sometimes when it comes to races like these, name recognition matters a lot. Voters may not always be familiar with some of these candidates, so it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out. And I know you're going to be keeping us vested and informed all the way up through the evening hours. So, Ray, thank you so much. I know you've got a lot ahead of you, so I'll let you get back to it, and we will stay tuned to you for the latest as we continue along here. You guys, let's get to a couple more stories that we're following here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom as we continue at 2 o'clock. One thing I want to let you know about as it relates to the FIFA World Cup here in Atlanta, a federal task force is really cracking down on unauthorized drones that have been flying over World Cup crowds. And now a Mexican national is facing federal charges here in Atlanta after authorities caught him flying an unauthorized drone over Centennial Olympic Park during the FIFA Fan Festival. Federal agents took 37-year-old Lorenzo Rojas Martinez into custody Friday after discovering he was unlawfully present in the United States after 2 prior deportations. Federal agents spotted him operating a drone in a temporary flight restricted zone, according to that criminal complaint, and they say he was standing in a nearby parking area recording video of the FIFA Fan Festival when agents approached him and asked for his identification. A review of his driver's license confirmed his identity and led agents to discover his status as a repeat deporter who also holds a prior conviction for cocaine distribution. Federal officials said he was formally charged Monday with operating a drone in a temporary flight restricted zone and illegal re-entry by a removed person. So this is something we're going to continue to keep you updated on. It's not confirmed or really clear what this man may have planned to do with the footage that he was gathering. You know, it is popular for a lot of people to try to capture video of these big crowds for different events, FIFA World Cup, put it on social media. And the big story and message here is if you do not have prior authorization from FIFA to fly your drone during the World Cup, don't chance it because it is illegal. So we're going to continue to keep you updated on that. But speaking of the World Cup, let's get to a happy story, right? We've covered a lot of heavier things today at 2 o'clock. This is really fun. This duck has become the world's unofficial FIFA World Cup mascot. Mexico City's World Cup fans at least seem to think so. And this is Merlin. He is a 2-year-old yellow-billed duck who has garnered millions of social media views, shooting to stardom after Mexico's 2-0 victory over South Africa last week. Merlin proudly waddles the streets of Mexico City wearing a Mexican national team jersey and socks. He regularly accompanies his owner, Carla Gomez, who sells water and soft drinks from a little cart each weekend. And attracting greetings from a lot of fans at his various outings. One fan says they want to see Merlin in Mexico City Stadium because he's a national treasure. And the best things about the World Cup so far have just been the community it brings together. Gomez says she never expected to receive such attention, but she's happy about it, and she hopes Merlin will bring good luck to Mexico's World Cup team. So you gotta love his little tippity taps of his little flippers just walking through those wet streets there in Mexico City. As we continue, you guys, we are going to get a check of how the dogs are doing in Omaha. Our Georgia Chambers is going to join us live from Omaha to talk about how the dogs stand coming up next. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here live at 2 o'clock. Let's talk about how the Georgia Bulldogs are doing in the College World Series. Georgia Chambers joins us live from Omaha. Georgia, love to see you. So I understand the Dogs, maybe things didn't go how they hoped yesterday. What's the latest?
Yeah, Ariel, good to see you too. So it's Elimination Tuesday here in Omaha for the Men's College World Series. Right now during the day game, Troy and West Virginia are playing. So Georgia and Texas are going to face off tonight in the 9th game, and the loser of that will be eliminated from the College World Series. So that is due to the fact that last night Georgia fell to Oklahoma 4-3. It was a very close matchup, made for a great game in the College World Series, but unfortunately they fell short. Now, Ariel, some good things for the Dogs is the fact that they've already played Texas before. Now, some people are going to say it's tough when you have to play opponents twice, but they've already got one win in the College World Series, and that was against Texas. So that does help boost their confidence a bit. And then another thing that we're looking at is Joey Bolchko against Texas pitched a complete game. And then last night against Oklahoma, Caden Aoki pitched a full game. So that's huge when you have longer tournaments like this, when you're able to save pitchers. They've only used 2 so far, so they have a lot of healthy guys that will be ready to go tonight and hopefully lead them through the rest of the College World Series. But after the loss last night, we had a chance to catch up with pitcher Caden Aoki, and he says that they're not panicked even though they lost last night's game.
Tough to think like we just lost the first game of a series and we have to come back now, and when we do that we really don't think much of it. I mean, the whole season if we lose the first game, like nothing really gets talked about. We just go out there the next day and play the game.
We can bounce back. There's a reason it's a double elimination. I mean, there's plenty of teams that have done it, and we've already won one here, so just got to hop back on the train and keep on going. Obviously, when you face a team a second time, they're ready to go. They know you a little bit, you know them, and just continue to execute plans that we have on hitters and making sure we follow our approaches as hitters as well.
And something else that's interesting, Ariel, is last night when we were talking to players in the 9th inning, head coach Wes Johnson talked to players in the huddle, and we asked what the message was from coach. And he said that he was with the team before LSU in 2023. They lost the same game as Georgia and went on to win the College World Series. And again, it is difficult because now that they've lost last night's game, they're going to be playing every day now to try and get into that championship series. But he's living proof. He led a team to the College World Series final and was able to win it all. So even though Georgia lost last night, Georgia fans don't lose hope because they're still away, and that starts tonight against Texas.
Georgia, that's what we like to hear. There's still hope. There's still a way. You cover sports a lot. You are no stranger to Omaha, and you're very familiar with the World Series. So what do you feel like Georgia needs to improve to be able to pull out a win?
You know, a lot of people talk about the pitching, but we've already seen some good pitching from Georgia. A lot of people say Caden Aoki didn't have his best performance, but he recovered after that first inning. So I don't think it's really changing anything in regards to their pitching. I think it's their hitting, right? You look at this Georgia team all season long, they're characteristically a very explosive offense. So we need to see the bats get going. Daniel Jackson, Trey Phelps, Colby Branch. We saw a couple home runs yesterday against Oklahoma, but you want to see more than 3 runs from this Georgia team. So I feel like success tonight is going to boil down to getting those bats going.
Makes sense. I love an expert take. Georgia, thanks so much. I know you'll join us again at 3. Let us know where things stand. So I appreciate you and wishing the Dogs the best. Of course, after my alma mater, Ole Miss. But we'll see how things go. Georgia, thank you. All right, guys, let's continue along here because I want to talk about something kind of crazy. I had hoped we would have time for this story, and we do, so let's talk about it. People these days really seem to be obsessed with anti-aging. Everyone wants to optimize their health, take things to the next level, and now there's some crazy science coming out that's really helping people live longer lives. So let's discuss, because this sounds like like a sci-fi material plot, and now it's edging closer to reality. The world's first reverse aging drug was injected into a human earlier this month, and there's been a surge in investment in longevity, both including backing from figures like Jeff Bezos and OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. So a lot of tech figures really obsessed with trying to live a very long life, if you will. So let's get into it, because maybe the eyes aren't the window to the soul, but instead a doorway leading to the fountain of youth. A Boston-based biotechnology firm actually looked into this. Their name is Life Biosciences, and they've begun dosing patients in a milestone FDA trial aimed at reversing age-related vision loss. The experimental gene therapy is called ER100, and it works to essentially clean up the instructions that your DNA provides, allowing cells to remember how to function as they once did. Life Biosciences co-founder, Dr. David Sinclair, says this is the first opportunity testing whether information can hopefully fix human disease. The current trial proves ER100 is safe and effective. If it does, then scientists are likely to try to figure out where in the body this could work. And a big question here is that scientists are looking at is, when are we going to see the first generation that might add 10 years to their lifespan, and maybe is looking at a future where they don't even die? Kind of crazy to think. That's a question tech entrepreneur and longevity advocate Brian Johnson has dedicated his life to. Last September, Russian President Vladimir Putin, through his translator, was heard discussing his interest in biohacking with Chinese President Xi Jinping. And the Wall Street Journal reports that Putin has now embarked on a $26 billion quest for longevity, with Russian scientists actively working on developing 3D printed organs and treatments to reverse cellular decline. This current trial for ER100 is small on purpose, so participants can be closely monitored. The therapy is injected directly into your eye, which is crazy, and it's activated later by a course of antibiotics, which serve as an on-off switch for the treatment. So that is something that we are going to closely keep an eye on as things progress. Looking ahead here, we've got more news to come with Tom Haynes. We're going to be checking on the latest, of course, as we continue on this election day for the runoff for primaries. So stay tuned. We're going to be talking about the race for U.S. Senate with the candidates hoping to secure the Republican nomination straight ahead.
Welcome, everybody, to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm your host, Tom Haynes, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. It is Election Day, so it's a busy day here. in our state, and we're going to cover all the ground leading up to today's 7 p.m. close of the polls across our area, and the two high-stakes races, the two big ones that we're really focusing on, although there are others here that we'll talk about as well, and that is the gubernatorial and Senate runoff between the Republican candidates vying for those respective seats. It is, as I said, Election Day here in our state. Georgia voters at the polls today casting their ballots for a series of high-stake primaries in this runoff election. It's really going to shape the direction of our state. Will Jon Ossoff continue to serve another term as U.S. Senator for Democrats, or will his seat be turned over to the Republicans? And which gubernatorial candidate on the Republican side will emerge? Congressman Mike Collins will face former football coach Derek Dooley for the United States Senate in a race that has a split endorsement between Donald Trump and Governor Brian Kemp. The GOP gubernatorial runoff features Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones against businessman Rick Jackson. It has been low turnout, as we've been hearing from our political analysts in the lead up to this runoff race. So every single ballot is going to count here. And Insider Advantage, the polling agency that Fox 5 relies on for polling these candidates, has cast this runoff election for both the Senate and the Republican gubernatorial candidates as razor thin. All right, so all eyes are going to be on these races tonight. Polls open until 7 o'clock tonight. If you are in line by 7, you get to vote. So just because it's like 10 minutes to 7, you're like, forget it. No, go to the polling place, because if you're in line by 7, you are going to get to cast your ballot. All right. As we talked about, there is a high-stakes U.S. Senate runoff tonight. One of the candidates is Republican Senate candidate and Congressman Mike Collins. He is trying to secure the nomination to go up against Jon Ossoff. His campaign gathering right now at Seven Oaks Manor in Jackson, as the first wave of results is only, hours away now. Fox 5's Rob DiRienzo at Collins campaign headquarters with the very latest. Rob, how are they feeling out there?
Hey there, Tom. I don't know if you saw our live shot just a moment ago, but we were actually able to grab Congressman Mike Collins just a moment ago. He showed up in his street clothes with his gun on his hip. He's here to check out the event space here in Butts County before the watch party kicks off later tonight. I asked him, of course, the big question on Election Day, how is he feeling? He said, look, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little nervous, but you have to imagine his campaign is riding pretty high, especially after that major endorsement over the weekend from President Donald Trump on Truth Social. So tonight, it really seems as if it's sort of a face-off of sorts between Kemp allies and more ardent Trump supporters. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of that plays out. And I should mention here in Butts County, it is a hotbed of political activity. Less than a mile up the road here in Jackson is Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones' watch party, which is at the same event space where Mike Collins threw his hat into the ring a few months ago. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all of this plays out. And it's also interesting to keep in mind that Collins did finish first in this primary, but he did not reach that 50% threshold. So he had this 10-point lead on Derek Dooley. It's going to be interesting if he can build on that tonight with any possible defectors from Buddy Carter or any of the other campaigns that just didn't make the cut for the runoff today. So again, a couple minutes ago, we asked Congressman Collins how he's feeling. He said, again, a little nervous, but you have to imagine there is a degree of confidence that he's riding on, especially after the big endorsement from President Donald Trump over the weekend. The president took to Truth Social and really seemed to focus on not so much Derek Dooley, but Jon Ossoff and defeating Jon Ossoff by any means necessary in November. He says, Mike, who like me is all about America first, is running against a radical left Democrat named Jon Ossoff, a weak and pathetic senator. Of course, it goes on, but you get the idea. So you can hear President Trump almost positioning Collins to be the competitor that takes on Senator Jon Ossoff come November. But of course, we're going to have to wait and see what happens in this runoff. If Derek Dooley's able to turn things around and come up on top tonight, that's what we're going to be waiting to see here. But again, there's some nervous energy talking to Congressman Collins, but he's still feeling pretty good heading into this evening.
Yeah, Rob, I'm just looking at Real Clear Politics averages here in a head-to-head between Ossoff and Collins. Looks like a pretty tight race. I mean, this is going to be no skate to the finish line for Ossoff, even though he is the incumbent. He will have a fierce competitor in Collins, and we'll talk about the Dooley numbers when we hit their campaign in just a second here. But it's all going to be about, you know, the spending power of these candidates. And Jon Ossoff has been sitting on the sidelines watching this whole runoff take place, watching these two runoff candidates spend a bunch of money, trying to make it, as you said, to the finish line tonight. But are they worried at all about their veracity going into the general election with Jon Ossoff?
A Democratic incumbent, Jon Ossoff, has a very strong war chest in terms of fundraising capabilities. He is very well liked nationally within his own party and has been tossed around as a potential presidential contender. So he has a lot of the national parties backing. Of course, that's going to be something that whoever wins tonight will have to contend with. Again, the Collins campaign is trying to draw on the MAGA movement, the MAGA loyalists, trying to get them out to the polls. But then come November, the work will be trying to find those more middle of the road, more moderate voters and convincing them that Ossoff just isn't up to the job, and the Collins campaign working with the Trump administration could get more done. So that is going to be the main argument they're going to have to prove or make tonight if they are successful in this runoff. Yeah, you make a great point. There's quite a difference between running a runoff campaign and a general election campaign, which either of these two candidates running for United States Senate is going to have to pivot very quickly to do here, really in just a matter of hours when we get these final numbers in after 7 o'clock tonight. Rob DiRienzo. Rob, thanks so much. While Collins supporters are gathering there, as promised, want to cover his competitor, Derek Dooley, former college football coach, backing of Brian Kemp, our governor, hosting his own runoff party at the Battery, just steps away from tonight's Braves game. Let's get out to Fox 5's Tara Jabbour, who is on top of this campaign for us. Tara, what's the mood out there like? I mentioned how close the polls have been and the confidence of the Dooley campaign.
Yeah, Tom, absolutely. You know, when we were here for the election just less than a month ago, Derek Dooley was feeling confident, and he talked a lot about kind of, you know, people having doubts about his campaign. But obviously now we're here today for the runoff election. Derek Dooley, of course, is backed by Governor Brian Kemp, and he's really kind of told everyone that he's running on this whole thing that he is a political outsider. Now, just a few weeks ago, Dooley and his team were celebrating here because they, of course, made it to this election. Dooley says he ran because he's tired of seeing the leaders in D.C. and he wants to be someone that puts Georgia voters first. Now, he says that he wants to prove people wrong and, of course, fight back on a lot of the doubt that people have had for him and in this Senate campaign. Dooley has run his campaign on this Georgia First contract, which he says he wants to put term limits on those who serve in Congress. He also says that he'll host 10 town halls if he becomes a senator, and that he'll always have Georgians at the top of his mind. Now, of course, on Sunday, President Donald Trump backed his opponent, Mike Collins, for this race. We spoke to Dooley, and he says that he's okay because he really just wants to put Georgia people first, and that is what he is most concerned about. Let's take a listen on what Dooley had to say.
But if you want change, it always starts at the top with leadership. And it's time we start sending a different kind of leader up to D.C. People with common sense, people that share our values here in Georgia. But most importantly, they're going up there for the right reasons. And that's to work with others to deliver results for you. And that's always going to be my promise as your next U.S. Senator.
Now, the Dooley Watch Party begins at 8 o'clock. Of course, polls do close at 7. We'll be here and keep you guys updated as that begins. Tom?
Pose the same question to you as I did Rob DiRienzo, and that is the pivoting that either of these two candidates are going to have to do come 7 or whenever we get the final results, 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, which we'll be covering exhaustively here on Fox Local as we got the soccer game on the network. We're going to be on all night here. But there's quite a difference, which Rob acknowledged, and I think you will too, between running this sort of runoff campaign, spending a bunch of money getting advertisements out. I saw the governor standing behind Derek Dooley there when you spoke to him earlier this afternoon, and then going into a general against a guy like Jon Ossoff, who's really become a tougher candidate in this 6-year period, serving as our United States Senator.
Yeah, Tom, absolutely. I think, over the last month, they've really been focused on the runoff election. And then, of course, if they win tonight, then they'll be focused on that general election. But like I had mentioned earlier, the last time we heard from Dooley at his watch party less than a month ago, he talked a lot just about that doubt. And it seems like that doubt that people had for him in his campaign kind of helped fuel him, give him more confidence. And then, of course, we've still seen the governor campaigning with him really nonstop in between the last election and this one. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting night given how close these races are. We're not going into the runoff with one 10 points behind the other, and it's kind of a yawner where you're kind of anticipating who's going to come out on top. No, this is going to be a real race to the finish line, real horse race, which we're going to, as I said, be watching very closely and be on all night here on our streaming channel, Fox Local, covering every single minute of these races. Tara Jabbour with the Dooley campaign, where the governor was with the candidate earlier this afternoon. Tara, thanks so much. Want to shift gears here and talk about a tragic story that we've been covering all day long today. A heartbreaking update to a story here that we've just learned that a pregnant mother shot and killed in her DeKalb County apartment overnight. And now the family of the 23-year-old says that somebody fired several shots through a window at the woods at Pepper Tree Apartments. They say that the woman and her unborn child were both killed. She was in the bed sleeping when she was hit multiple times. This story has a lot of people rattled and upset today. Our Annie Mapp covering the story. Annie, the family has spoken out. Tell us more about the circumstances surrounding exactly what happened here.
Hi, Tom. A very tragic story. The family has identified that victim as 23-year-old Shakaya Pridgen, and her unborn baby was going to have the name Kyron. Now, this all happened this morning around 5. DeKalb County police say someone shot a firearm and fired bullets into Shakaya's apartment and ended up killing her and also her unborn baby. Her mom says she was set to give birth to her third child in 2 weeks. Now, DeKalb County police say they've responded to calls of shots fired around 5:15 this morning, with people again saying a person had been shot here at the woods at Pepper Tree Apartments. Medics did rush Shakaya to the hospital, but unfortunately, police say she and that unborn baby died of their injuries. Police believe, again, someone shot into her apartment from the outside. It's unknown who that person could have been. Police have not arrested anyone in this case as of now, but I did get a chance to catch up with Shakaya's mother. She also lives at the complex. She tells me she heard the gunshots and rushed over to help her daughter following the crime. Take a listen.
She had a 1-year-old son. She had a 3-year-old daughter. They both were laying in the bed with her when this happened. By the grace of God, they didn't get hurt. But someone came and shot. We know who you are. We are going to seek justice.
And again, DeKalb County police haven't released any details on a possible suspect. As you heard there, the family feels confident that they may know who could have done this to Shakaya. Of course, we don't have any of those details confirmed as of now, but police are asking anyone with information to please come forward. Tom.
This is, yet another outrageous instance of somebody, an innocent bystander, being shot by stray gunfire. Annie, we had that 12-year-old boy over the weekend rushed to the hospital by ambulance after he was struck by stray bullets in his own neighborhood. And we talked about, in that case, the outrage among the surrounding community that innocent people, and in this case, tragically, a mother and her unborn child simply laying in her bed, and now she's dead this afternoon after this stray gunfire goes off. The 12-year-old boy, thankfully injured, being treated in the hospital. I mean, it just seems to be such a tragic and unfortunate pattern in some of these communities.
Very heartbreaking. Another case of gun violence, of course, in our communities, Tom. But DeKalb County Police did say that they believe this was a targeted incident. Although they believe the shooter shot from outside the home, they do believe they intended to shoot Shakaya. Of course, as you heard her mother say, her other two young children were laying right next to her, so thankfully they weren't hit as well. But just a tragic story all around.
Yeah, it boggles the mind. Who would target a pregnant woman laying in her bed? It's just unbelievable. Annie Mapp with the afternoon's new details about the circumstances surrounding this outrageous shooting. Our hearts go out to that family. Annie, thanks so much. Also in the news here at 3 o'clock, a terrifying night in Lithonia after a large party in a quiet neighborhood erupts into violence. Police say that 5 people were shot Monday evening on Mallard Crest after a fight broke out among the crowd of young people there. Neighbors and witnesses described the scene of utter chaos as the gunshots rang out, leaving 5 victims to drive themselves to a nearby hospital. Authorities confirmed none of the injuries are life-threatening, but one mother describes the frantic moments that she received a phone call from her daughter crushed by panic and hysteria.
My daughter called me around 10:37 p.m., crying hysterically, saying that somebody was shot. One of her friends got shot. The police aren't telling me anything. I don't know nothing. I just know that she's down there being interviewed without a parent.
DeKalb County Police have not released the identities of the victims, and no arrests thus far have been made in this shooting again of 5 people in that area. A southeast Atlanta neighborhood gripped by profound grief as police search for the gunman who killed a 14-year-old boy. Officers found that Sire Reeves early Sunday morning, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds in a vacant lot behind a strip mall near Flat Shoals Road. The teen was rushed to Grady Memorial Hospital, where he died from his injuries, leaving youth mentors and loved ones devastated by the loss of a dedicated volunteer with what his community describes as a bright future. Just take a look at that.
Children myself, so I mean, it's heartfelt. I mean, if something was to happen to them, I mean, I don't know how it would function. We have to start looking out for each other instead of fighting against each other. I mean, ain't no other way to it.
If you spot the suspect or the black backpack that police are talking about in this case, you may have caught a glimpse of it. You're asked to immediately call 911 to help bring him bring that suspect to justice. An aunt is pleading with the community this afternoon in a case that involves the location of their missing 20-year-old who vanished 9 weeks ago. Albert Alex Waugh disappeared from a Lithonia group home on the South Stone Mountain Road area and was last seen near a strip mall on Welburn Road. He's diagnosed with autism and ADHD and has extreme limited verbal skills, making a Maddie's call critical as he has no money or identification with him. He's 5'7" tall, about 140 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes, and was last seen wearing a light brown T-shirt, black shorts, and carrying a black backpack.
Alex is autistic and ADHD, and he has limited verbal skills. He doesn't have a good sense of direction, so if he's walking in one direction away from somewhere, he doesn't know that he needs to turn around and go back. He had no money, no ID, no form of anything to identify who he is. I'm holding on to hope. I'm trying to stay positive, but it's been 9 weeks now, and I don't know what else to do. I want to find my nephew and bring him home and make sure that he's happy and healthy and well taken care of.
If you have any information about this case or you recognize this young man, you're asked to report that to authorities as soon as possible. A retired Clayton County death investigation is underway after a retired Atlanta police officer was found dead in his own driveway over the weekend. Officers responded to a home on Upper Riverdale Road in Jonesboro Saturday morning, where they discovered 61-year-old James Edward Sinkfield unresponsive. Sinkfield was a beloved mentor in the community, was still very active, serving as a reserve sergeant for Fort Valley State University. While investigators say they found no immediate signs of foul play and believe he may have suffered from a medical emergency, his family remains deeply concerned after reporting they found blood throughout the house. An official cause of death is still pending an autopsy as detectives continue to comb through the scene for any answers. 2 people are facing murder charges after a man's body was found in a Douglas County reservoir, finally identified through DNA testing. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation confirmed the victims, 37-year-old James Parker of Atlanta. Parker's body was first recovered by deputies on May the 15th by the Dog River Reservoir along Highway 66. Following a month-long investigation, authorities arrested Brittany Amber Baker and Mario Andre Barber in connection with that killing. Sheriff's Office officials haven't yet released Parker's cause of death or what might have led them to those 2 suspects. Anyone with information about the case is asked to contact the Douglas County Sheriff's Office immediately. All right, as we continue here on the 3 p.m. streaming hour of Fox Local, it's kind of a dreary day out there today. Temperature's not too warm, though, so a little heat relief here that we're experiencing, but definitely some rain in our forecast. Meteorologist Lauren Robinson will outline it for us when we continue. Welcome back. Live pictures, Atlanta Stadium there, a.k.a. Mercedes-Benz Stadium, as FIFA World Cup action continues here in our city. We've got 1 game down, 7 to go here. And as you can see on the horizon there, just a dreary, kind of foggy day outside after we enjoyed that beautiful weather on Monday. Now come the clouds and the rain for the remainder of our work week. Meteorologist Lauren Robinson's tracking the timing of these storms that are set to roll in.
We're going to continue to watch for these scattered rain showers all across the area as we move through the rest of our Tuesday. Most of the rain is looking to settle along and south of the I-20 corridor, but that doesn't mean you can't get a couple stray raindrops across northern portions of the viewing area. As we go through the rest of the afternoon, we're still going to watch for scattered rain showers. A few isolated storms are possible, but we're not looking for any sort of severe weather for our Tuesday. Maybe some localized flooding and some lightning and thunder. Things start to wind down as we move late into the night and into early tomorrow morning. So as we wake up Wednesday morning, we're going to see the return of the warmth and the humidity. We're going to see more cloud cover, but you will stay dry most of your Wednesday, not the entirety of the day, but most of your hours will be dry. But as we go through the afternoon, that's where you could see maybe a pop-up shower or storm here or there, and then things start to wind back down as we move into our Wednesday night. Now, all eyes are on Thursday because we have a big day in town. That's going to be our next FIFA World Cup match in Atlanta. So by the time you're waking up early Thursday morning, it's hot and humid. We're seeing that cloud cover lingering. By noon, that's when we're supposed to have kickoff. That's where things are still looking mostly dry. Maybe we start to see the approach of a couple isolated storms, but that's nothing compared to what we're expecting Thursday evening into Friday morning. This is when we're looking for widespread, strong storms Thursday evening into Friday morning. So of course, that's something you want to keep in mind if you do have maybe some post-match celebrations in mind. We will be seeing some heavy downpours, and some of these storms could be pretty strong to severe as we move through our Friday morning. So because of it, we're going to look for some heavier downpours. Today, we're not going to get a whole lot of accumulation, maybe up to around 1/4 of an inch. Far south, we could see maybe up to 1/2 an inch. That's where we're going to see the more steady rainfall today. Tomorrow, we add just a couple of raindrops to that bucket, but take a look at how this map really lights up as we move through our Thursday into our Friday morning. This is where we're expecting those stronger, more severe storms, and this is where we could see maybe a couple inches of rain. This is also where we're going to look for the strongest storms. Thursday and into Friday again, we are under level 1 out of 5 for severe weather. That means our entire viewing area does run the risk for maybe some damaging winds with those storms. We are looking for maybe a brief spin-up tornado or two, and of course heavy downpours that could lead to some flooding. So in the meantime, today is going to be a bit cooler. We're about 10 degrees below average for this time of year as temperatures max out in the middle 70s. By tomorrow, we start to rise into the middle 80s. That's where we're going to get maybe a very isolated shower or storm through the afternoon. And then by Thursday and Friday, these are going to be the days where we're looking for those stronger storms. These are also going to be our more outdoorsy active days because we have FIFA World Cup match, and then we have Juneteenth. Both of these days, you just want to make sure you're paying attention to the forecast. As we move into the weekend, we have more smooth weather in store. The sunshine returns. We have minimal storm chances, and those afternoon temperatures in the middle to upper 80s are closer to where we should be this time of year.
All right, Lauren, we'll be tracking it with you. Thanks so much. Looks like a really rainy day on Thursday. Forecast that we'll continue to keep our eye on here. I want to talk about footage that is capturing a large plume of smoke followed by a deadly jet crash that happened in California. The Air Force says all 8 people who were on board a B-52 bomber died after it took off from a military base in Southern California and crashed. It's unclear what caused the tragedy yesterday, and it could take up to 6 months to complete an investigation into it. Though after authorities reviewed footage of the crash, it was determined that nobody could have survived that. Those on board included government contractors and uniformed military. Boeing also confirmed 2 of its employees were on the bomber as well. The long-range bomber is used to carry weapons, including nuclear weapons. It has been used in conflicts from Vietnam to Iran. The president is in Europe for the G7 summit meeting. President defending a potentially new peace agreement with Iran that's been touted all week this week at the G7 in France, pushing back against claims that the United States will foot a $300 billion price tag for rebuilding in that country. While critics warn the proposed deal fails to limit Iran's sponsorship of regional proxies, the president maintains the core focus is stripping the regime's ability to produce a nuclear weapon.
This agreement covers something very nicely. We're not paying for anything. We're not doing anything. The markets now are higher than they were when we started. Remember that. The stock market now is 2,500, maybe even more than that, points higher than it was when we said it's pretty amazing. Disagreements about one thing, that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Never, ever, ever. The rest of it's irrelevant, frankly.
Senator Graham also said that an eventual agreement with Iran should be sent to Congress for review. Would you do that?
I never thought of it, but I would. I wouldn't mind. I mean, the Democrats, we call them Democrats because they're dumb people. The Democrats are, well, what I'd like to do is send it to Congress saying you shouldn't approve it, and I'll get it approved. Because they do whatever I say, they want to do the opposite. It's not working too well for them, by the way. But yeah, I never thought about sending it, never even thought about it, but I will. I will send it to Congress. I like the idea.
On another topic.
I mean, who wouldn't approve it? Let's let them have a nuclear weapon. The Democrats will say, oh, they should have a nuclear weapon. They'll go crazy. I like the idea. Send it to Congress, please. All right?
All right. So the president added that he's open to having this congressional review, if you will, on a final agreement with Iran, following concerns from lawmakers that both countries may have vastly different understandings about the terms of the deal moving forward. So where will all of this take place this Friday? That's when the big deal signing is supposed to happen. Somebody asked the president yesterday if he planned to attend the signing. It's going to be in Switzerland, and I'll talk about that here a little bit more in just a second. He said, no, he doesn't have plans, but I wouldn't put anything past this president for him to somehow show up at this deal signing. I believe there's talk that the vice president will possibly be there in addition to other high-ranking U.S. government officials. But Switzerland says that this signing ceremony for the U.S.-Iran deal will be held near Lucerne on Friday. The Swiss Foreign Ministry says that the resort in Uberchen was proposed to officials from both sides, as well as Pakistan and Qatari officials. This is a luxury resort. Take a look at that. I mean, that is just spectacular. This is in Switzerland. This is where all this is supposed to go down. The destination overlooks the picturesque Lake Lucerne and the Alps. The agreement is said to include the immediate opening of the Strait of Hormuz and lifting of the blockade. And as the president said, the term that Iran will not possess a nuclear weapon. I want to talk about the president issuing a stark ultimatum to France. He's in France for this G7, threatening to impose 100% tariffs on French wine and champagne unless the country drops its digital services tax on American tech giants. French President Emmanuel Macron pushed back against the threat at the G7 summit, stating that the 3% levy is already part of European law and will not be dictated by the United States. Several countries implemented it as part of EU law and said that it is not for the United States to decide what European or French law should be. The dispute comes as the White House looks to amp up its global trade agenda, helped by a Supreme Court decision Monday that declined to place new limits on the president's tariff authority. Also happening in France, France's military leaders are warning of an increasing probability of conflict with Russia as they transform France's armed forces for the 21st century. A senior French military official says that this problem with Western nations may have to confront Russia over Europe's eastern flank within 2 years. The comments come as one of Europe's largest defense trade shows opened near Paris with demonstrations of military technology such as robots, autonomous vehicles, and surveillance and attack drones. The CEO of that organization says that this year's exhibition has focused mainly on quantitative strategies in dealing with Russia as it concerns European countries. Coming up, we talked about the big two elections that we're going to be watching tonight. That is the governor's race and the Senate race, both on the Republican side. What about some of the other races happening for, say, Fulton County Commission chairman? We're going to check in with our reporters, our team of reporters covering tonight's election as we continue here. Thanks so much for streaming live with us this afternoon. I'm Tom Haines here live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Appreciate you streaming on our free mobile app on your mobile device, or if you're watching on one of your channels at home, happy you're here as well, or on one of our social media pages at Fox 5 Atlanta, where we monitor your comments as well on all of the stories that we're talking about this afternoon, or on the radio, 107.9 HD2 FM. Certainly glad you are streaming along with us today. Got another big election that we're talking about tonight, a runoff, if you will, to the high-stakes Democratic runoff for Fulton County Commission chair. Incumbent Rob Pitts looking to defend his seat tonight against challenger Mo Ivory. Let's get out to our Angelique Proctor, who knows everything perhaps there is about not only Fulton County government, Angelique, but this high-stakes runoff race.
Lots of people are watching this race. Good afternoon to you, Tom. Fulton County Commission Chairman Rob Pitts has been in Atlanta politics for 49 incredible years, if you can believe that. But I've talked to some political analysts who say he is in the fight of his political career with this runoff tonight. Now, a familiar face indeed, serving first on the Atlanta City Council for 20 years, which also includes a term of council president. Then he came over to the Fulton County Commission side. He was a commissioner for 12 years before being elected chair in 2017. Now, Pitts touts his experience and his steady leadership style as his strong points. He says that under his leadership, Fulton County has simply soared.
Get your voters back to the polls. It's as simple as that. It's pretty, again, 0-0, get your voters back to the poll. But the good thing about a runoff, when it's just two people, the voters have a chance to compare the candidates, record to record, performance to performance. So that's why I'm so excited about this.
So what do you see as your strengths?
My experience, my longevity, the fact that I have been tested. I'm a proven leader against someone who has no record.
Now, some Fulton County residents say it is time for Pitts to retire. They say because he is 84 years old, it's time to pass that baton of leadership. But Pitts says, no, he is not ready to pass the baton. In fact, some people have said he was slow to lead on the jail issue as well as the Fulton County courts issue. But Pitts says he has had good marks there, too. A lot of voters, though, will be watching tonight. I think Pitts really scored big when he got the endorsement of Fulton County Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr., who was the third person in this race with he and Mo Ivory. And so having that endorsement from Marvin Arrington should really give him a huge boost today. But lots of people will be watching this race, Tom.
Angelique, we depend so heavily on polling data. So far, I've only seen polling data for the big, Senate gubernatorial races. I don't know if there's any out there for this race, or if you know of anything out there that's going to indicate which direction or the other this race is going to go. But I was just trying to, while you were talking, and then you answered my question, actually. You're that intuitive, Angelique. You knew exactly what I was thinking. Those are the two big issues that Mo Ivory is sort of teeing up for voters, I guess. Not that Rob Pitts is too old, although that may be the opinion of some voters, but that he kind of fumbled those two big issues, the jail and that FBI raid of the voting headquarters in Fulton County. Am I kind of reading that right? That's what she kind of pinned much of her campaign on?
You are absolutely reading that right, Tom. Mo Ivory has hammered those issues, saying that she was very aggressive when those ballots were removed, that she even went to Washington and testified before Congress, and that she is the fighter who is trying to make sure that every vote is counted in Fulton County, and that Chairman Pitts has been a little slow on that. Also, you ask about polling data. I've been searching for it myself. Yeah. Have not seen anything thing on this local race. Everybody focused on the larger statewide races. So it's apparently just internal polling, but I'm really not privy to what the campaigns are saying. In fact, I've talked to both candidates, and both are predicting victory tonight.
This is one that's really like anyone's guess. We can prognosticate based on polls for the other two races and kind of speculate who may come ahead, but this one is really going to be revealing in who is able to pull it across the finish line. And of course, we'll be finding out as 7 o'clock nears. Angelique, we know you're going to be following the race all night with us. We appreciate that look into this campaign. Let's turn now to the challenger, Mo Ivory, who we just talked about. We are tracking that campaign of the Rob Pitts Democratic challenger. Her supporters watching the returns come in over at the gathering spot in Northwest Atlanta. Let's get out to our Kevin Stewart, who is with the Ivory campaign. How are they feeling out there? How's the momentum, absent polling data, which may kind of tell us which direction this race is going to go tonight?
Yeah, they're feeling pretty good. They're going to start setting up here at the Gathering Center over here in a couple of hours right now. I think you had a really good conversation with Angelique there. There's something that really is important to note here. Commissioner Ivory won the primary. She was ahead, at least in this primary, and the third place candidate, Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr., threw his hat and with an endorsement of Chairman Pitts. So that's a big obstacle for Mo Ivory to overcome, having that endorsement. But she got some key endorsements of her own. Mayor Andre Dickens of Atlanta and Fulton County Sheriff Patrick Labatt. And speaking of Patrick Labatt and the Sheriff's Office in the jail, that's been a big issue. What to do with the jail and the court system. That was something else that came up in your conversation. She believes, Ms. Ivory believes that the court system is severely underfunded, and she believes that if you have more funding going towards the court system, that will help alleviate some of the problems of overcrowding over at the jail. She says that is a huge issue. Another thing she's talked about is really trying to deal with transparency, particularly when it comes to the budget and finances. She is calling for a forensic audit of county finances. She's called for that previously, and she says if she's elected chair, there is no doubt in her mind that there will be one. My colleague, Angelique Proctor, had a conversation with her about 2 weeks ago, and this is what she said at the time. Take a listen.
Sometimes when Chairman Pitts says no to something and then he gets a lot of political pressure to do something, he finds the money miraculously. Where did that come from? Right? I've asked those questions. I can't get the answers. So as the chair, I will get the answers to those questions. And I will finally say, we got it from this line item that had been in here for a long time. Or we pulled it out of reserves. Right? Or I called a state of emergency on the county, which gave me spending power. There's a lot of mechanisms. But you can't do those things until you actually know where the money is. And I haven't known where it is because I haven't gotten the answers to that question. So that's how I'll handle that.
All right, now Commissioner Ivory actually resigned her post as Commissioner of District 4 to run for this chair race. District 4 that makes up downtown, midtown, a large part of near southwest Atlanta. And again, remember, she finished in first place during the primary. But Commissioner Arrington, who represents largely South Fulton County, is going to throw his votes behind the chairman. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all that maps out. Getting that endorsement from Mayor Dickens is certainly a big deal. He mentioned that earlier, and today he voted and held a news conference announcing that. So it'll be really interesting to see how that proves to play a role in the final race when the votes start getting tabulated just after 7 o'clock tonight. Tom?
You mentioned those two big endorsements, and those will matter, the mayor and the Fulton County Sheriff. It's going to be interesting to see if Mo Ivory can make the case to voters, to Fulton County voters, that she is the fresh new leadership that the county needs moving forward. If it's time to turn the page and to move ahead, or if voters are going to say, no, we're going to go with somebody that we've known for a long time, somebody that has led the county for quite a period of time. And the real, division of endorsements here, as we just laid out, Kevin, with the mayor coming out. And when the mayor endorsed, you got to look at somebody like Mo Ivory and wonder what her political future might be. If this is her track to executive leadership for the city of Atlanta, and what her long-term plans are, should she pull this out tonight. But any kind of talk there about the energy and the veracity of the candidate and the momentum of this campaign headed into 7 o'clock?
I think what we're looking at here is, and I think you kind of began to spell it out there, is you have the contrast. You have the veteran in Rob Pitts, who's been in Fulton County, Atlanta politics for, I believe, more than 40 years, and Mo Ivory, a younger political, I wouldn't say a novice, is that, you know, she has held this seat, and previously she's run for county commission, she's run for city council. That was unsuccessful, but she was a known quantity. I mean, she had a talk show for a long time on the radio, on the AM side, WAOK. She also, I believe she was on B103 at one time, I want to say. She also is a lawyer, so she's been pretty active in the community in that sense, and she's very skilled. You can see how she uses social media when you watch her during her time on the county commission. So she is a known quantity, and you see that juxtaposed to one another. You have an older candidate versus a younger candidate, and a lot of people are going to look at this as like, it's time for new blood, or do we go with the steady hand? And that's something that I think when we look at this tomorrow and in the coming days, that's how people will kind of view this new generation versus old generation. Tom?
Well, as you said, you know, she came out ahead in the first round, not by enough, but she was, and that's all that's going to matter here in this next round as we go into this runoff race tonight. It's been a well-fought race by both of these two candidates, but we'll see who can pull it out in the end. And of course, Kevin will be covering every second as it unfolds here, right here on the streaming platform, Fox Local, and we'll be checking in with you as the night continues to unfold. When we come back, you know, our Bulldogs are out in Omaha, and so is our Georgia Chambers. We're going to check in with Georgia as this series progresses. A lot on the line for the Bulldogs. It's make or break at this point when we come back. Welcome back, everybody, to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm your host, Tom Haynes, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Want to get out to our Georgia Chambers now that the College World Series is happening. Georgia, where the heck are you? Looks like you're on a ferry.
Tom, we had some time before Georgia plays Texas again tonight in the Men's College World Series, so I thought, why don't I enjoy Fan Fest? I'm a camera Okay, we have to wait till we go back up, guys, because I am on the Ferris wheel. There's a lot of fans out having fun ahead of the games today. It's Elimination Tuesday, so a lot of anxiety. So you have to have some fun, right? I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little afraid of heights, so I am gripping my phone very tightly, Tom. But look at this beautiful view of Charles Schwab Field. There's so many fans out. Troy and West Virginia are playing right now, so the loser is eliminated from the Men's College World Series. So a great view of downtown Omaha. I'm having a blast. I'm enjoying it because the stakes are high tonight, so we're manifesting good vibes.
We know that, Georgia, you're out there in your hometown of Omaha, born and raised, proud Nebraskan, and it looks like beautiful weather out there. But regarding tonight's game for the Bulldogs, as you said, it's high stakes. You know, we have high stakes elections happening here tonight in this runoff race, which we're going to be covering here all night long on Fox Local. But it's also high stakes for the Bulldogs. This is sort of a make or break moment for them.
Yeah, so Georgia said as soon as they got here, it's one thing to make it to the College World Series. There's only 8 teams that make it to Omaha, but they're not wanting to just make it, right? They want to make history. They want to keep on playing. So they won game 1 against Texas, but unfortunately fell in a tight game against Oklahoma last night, 4-3. So that's landed them in this position. Tom, to make it to the championship series, they would have to win today, again on Wednesday, and again on Thursday. So they have a tough road ahead. But when we were talking to players last night after the game, they said they're remaining optimistic. There's no need to hit the panic button, and they have strong belief in their team.
Series, and we have to come back now, and when we do that, we really don't think much of it. I mean, the whole season, if we lose the first game, like, nothing really gets talked about. We just go out there the next day and play the game.
We can bounce back. There's a reason it's a double elimination. I mean, there's plenty of teams that have done it, and we've already won one here, so just got to hop back on the train and keep on going. Obviously, when you face a team a second time, they're ready to go. They know you a little bit, you know them, and just continue to execute plans that we have on hitters and making sure we follow our approaches as hitters as well.
Another tidbit that's important for tonight, Georgia was able to use Joey Volchko in game 1 against Texas, the pitcher, and then Caden Aoki, who we just heard from, against Oklahoma. So there's a lot of fresh pitchers that they're able to use. It's really important when you have longer tournaments like this. You don't want to go through a lot of fresh arms, because then later on in the tournament, when you need your best players, you might not have them available. So that's one positive for Georgia, and they're hoping for a great game tonight. And we're manifesting good vibes because we're out here in Omaha. We're having fun. I'm feeling good, Tom.
The fact that you're afraid of heights and on that Ferris wheel concerns me a little bit, but you seem to be enjoying yourself. Whether you're faking that or not, I don't know. But you've been out there all week, Georgia. This is a celebratory time for the Bulldogs, whether they pull this out or not, because they haven't made this trip in many, many, many years. But as we sort of run up to the conclusion of this series, tell us how the experience for you has been, not only to be back home, but to watch our hometown team go as far as they have.
Tom, I feel like it really leaves me speechless, because the fact that I grew up here, I actually think if I flip the camera, I could spot my high school a little way up the way there. So the fact that I'm back where it all started, where I fell in love with journalism, where I fell in love with storytelling, has been awesome. And then you add on the fact that I'm covering the Georgia Bulldogs, where I went to college. It's amazing, and this has been such a fun team to cover this year, with the sour power, the gummies that they eat after they score a run. And one of the players says he guards the sour power, and he tapes up the sour power bag above the dugout. And one of the messages he wrote across this tape is, "We have fun." And I think that really describes this team. It's a team that has fun. It's a team that loves each other, and it's amazing to be able to follow them to Omaha, Nebraska, what they call the greatest show on dirt, and it just so happens to be where I grew up too.
Just excellent reporting from out there in Omaha. So much excitement and energy behind these Bulldogs as they return to the World Series so many years later out in a place that you call home, Omaha, Nebraska. Georgia Chambers up high above the field with the bird's eye view of where it's all going to happen for the Bulldogs a little bit later on. Georgia, thanks so much for the live reporting. Want to take you to Wall Street now, where the markets are having a good day. This on news that oil prices are down based on what's happening with the situation with Iran and that signing ceremony that's supposed to happen at Lake Lucerne in Switzerland on Friday. All eyes on the energy toward this signing ceremony, and if these two countries, the United States and Iran, can finally make it to the finish line and get this deal done, the president promises the Strait of Hormuz will remain open, and that, as you see, is affecting the markets, specifically the Dow Jones Industrials. Again, as oil prices go lower on news that this deal may in fact be ratified and signed on Friday, something we'll continue to cover here as we get closer to that. Stay with us tonight for all of the election action. We're going to be live all night right here on Fox Local with every minute of how things unfold. Hope you'll stay with us. Meantime, don't go anywhere. The news continues right here, right now.